Chapter 247. Right now, Ing Jingshan was truly speechless. Death Mage is already very formidable, but this shadowy figure is even more formidable than Death Mage. Furthermore, there is also the Bone Dragon at the side. Just how many formidable subordinates does his honor have? Yuanda was shocked to the point that he was speechless. After a long while, he said, "Empress's husband is truly formidable." He Xian nodded his head. "These two are the strongest people I have ever seen. This kind of battle is unprecedented. For Empress to have such a husband, we can finally be at ease." Xing Han sighed repeatedly. How could Donghuang Baiji have the mood to listen to those things right now? Her beautiful eyes were fixedly staring at the sky. Wei Chang's entire body seemed to have turned into a black fog, and that black fog was like a blade, stabbing out from all kinds of weird angles. Streams of berserk aura engulfed Voidless Realm, and the scene looked just like the end of the world. Of course, this was just a fight for show. If they were to really fight, this place would have long turned into ruins. Everyone was imagining the result of the fight with the shadowy figure. There was only one result, and that was being insta-killed. The speed of the two could be seen becoming faster and faster, to the point that they had already disappeared. Qingya mumbled, "Where are they?" Donghuang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows. "This kind of battle is not something we can imagine. It is possible that they have entered into another space. Let's just wait quietly." Inside the bar, Yi Hua placed down the blade in his hand, poured himself a cup of wine, then raised his head and drank it, comfortable. "Congratulations, Your Honor, the madams firmly believe in you." Wei Chang knelt down on one knee to express his sincerity. Yi Hua turned around and said, "Wei Chang, your contributions this time cannot go unnoticed. You can ask for anything that you want. I will agree to anything. It is my duty to share his honor's worries." Wei Chang said respectfully, carrying incomparable sincerity. Yi Hua sat on the high chair and said faintly, "Wei Chang, during these 5 years, I have seen the changes that you have undergone. You have indeed improved a lot. To be able to receive your honor's praise is the biggest reward for subordinate. Subordinate will definitely pledge my loyalty to you. And I am looking forward to your performance in the future. Subordinate will definitely not disappoint your honor." After pouring himself another cup of wine, Yi Hua said gravely, "This hero's saving the beauty scene is more or less done. There won't be much use if we continue acting. I feel that it is time for us to reverse the situation." Your honor is wise. Subordinate feels the same way too. It's just that subordinate is afraid of harming your honor's holy body. Yi Hua let out a sigh. "In the past, I felt that the love and affection of those humans are all illusory. What's the use of having love and affection? However, after coming into contact with Qingya and the others, only then did I understand how to be a qualified husband. For the sake of this family's harmony, what harm is there for me to suffer a little injury?" It seemed that there was a trick of injuring oneself to gain the confidence of others behind this act of saving the damsel in distress. It was truly interlinked and impossible to guard against. For Qingya and Donghuang Baiji to get together with such a man, it was unknown whether it was a blessing or a disaster. Your honor, subordinate feels that such a small injury won't be effective. Oh. Wei Chang said gravely, subordinate believes that his honor is going to suffer a serious injury. This way, the madams will be even more loyal to his honor. After all, for the madams, his honor is even willing to give up his life. And that makes sense. Yi Hua nodded his head. Then he asked, "Then what is considered a serious injury?" Your honor, subordinate feels that by temporarily pretending to lose his cultivation and become paralyzed, the madams will definitely feel guilty towards his honor, and from there, they will take good care of his honor. And his honor will be able to enjoy the care of the madams every day, and he won't even need to move his hands." Yi Hua looked at Wei Chang blankly, then slammed onto the table. "Wei Chang, you are truly smarter than Zhu Tian. If I become paralyzed, then I will have to be taken care of by the madams. Things like bathing, peeling crayfish, massaging, they will have to properly serve me, and I will only have to move my mouth. There is nothing better than having them serve me. Subordinate is also doing this to make his honor happy. Just that, subordinate feels apologetic for having to harm his honor's holy body later on. Wei Chang, there is no need for you to apologize. This is all for my family, it has been hard on you. Subordinate is afraid. Wei Chang deeply lowered his head. Lighting up a stick of cigarette, Yi Hua said faintly, "It's time for me to suffer a bit." "Your Honor, the props have all been prepared." Wei Chang could be said to be very responsible, everything had been properly arranged. Yi Hua laughed lightly, "What I want is authenticity, I will not do things that are fake." Wei Chang sighed with emotion, then said sincerely, "For the sake of the madams, his honor did not hesitate to harm himself." From this, it can be seen that his honor's comprehension of human nature has increased by another level. Subordinate is truly ashamed. Human nature is truly a good thing, I am starting to like it more and more. After finished speaking, Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette. Soon after, Yi Hua slapped onto the armor that he was wearing, and cracks appeared on the armor. The armor that was originally covering his entire body revealed his shoulders, and his waist was also shattered. From the looks of it, Yi Hua seemed to have suffered from a huge attack. Afterward, Yi Hua used both of his hands to poke his hair, making it look a bit more decadent. Afterward, Yi Hua took out a small knife and made a wound on his body. Furthermore, it was the kind of wound where the skin and flesh were split open. Without blood to serve as a foil, how could it be visually shocking? Then, Yi Hua casually wiped his face a few more times, and with that, his task was completed. "Qingye, Donghuang Baiji, for the sake of the two of you, I did not hesitate to harm myself. From now on, the two of you have to be obedient, I will not do such a thing next time." Waving onto the mirror, Yi Hua asked, "Wei Chang, how do I look like?" "Your Honor, subordinate admires you." Yi Hua lit up another stick of cigarette, then discussed with Wei Chang about the lines and moves that he was going to use next. Within Voidless Realm. Everyone was waiting for the two to appear, but 30 minutes had already passed, and the two had yet to appear. This caused Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to be extremely nervous, fearing that something bad would happen to Yi Hua. Suddenly, two figures appeared in the air once again, and the two could be seen quickly separating from each other. Everyone couldn't help but take in a breath of cold air. There was no change to the shadowy figure, but Yi Hua appeared to be very weak. The armor that was on his body was already broken, and blood was everywhere on his body. His face was pale, and he looked as if he was going to die soon. "Yi Hua! Yi Hua!" The two women shouted out towards Yi Hua, who was in the air. Their tears were like a dam bursting, and their hearts felt as if it was being twisted by a knife. Yi Hua was delighted. "I didn't waste my effort and conscience." Yi Hua blinked his eyes towards Wei Chang. Wei Chang immediately understood what Yi Hua meant. His figure flashed, and a lump of black fog sent Yi Hua flying. Very accurately, Wei Chang landed in front of Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. When Lai Gu saw how ruthless Wei Chang was, he thought to himself, "Aren't you afraid that his honor will kill your Xiaotang? Don't you know that his honor had praised Wei Chang just now?" For the sake of shocking Yi Hua, Wei Chang used quite a bit of strength when he smashed Yi Hua's body. "Yi Hua!" The two women sprinted over and carried Yi Hua, who was in the hole, into their embrace. Yi Hua was feeling very happy in his heart, but he wasn't able to show it out. This kind of feeling was truly painful. Qingye felt very guilty as she wiped off the bloodstains on Yi Hua's face in a flurry, then said while crying, "Yi Hua, don't scare me." Chapter 248. Yi Hua slowly raised both of his hands and used his bloodied fingers to wipe off the two women's tears, then said weakly, "The two of you are so disobedient, I really want to spank the two of you." "You're still thinking of lecturing us at a time like this?" Donghuang Baiji cried out. Although Donghuang Baiji was wearing an empress gown, she no longer had the aura of an empress. Qingye said, "Yi Hua, I promise that I will listen to you in the future, nothing will happen to you." Yi Hua looked towards the sky and mumbled, "I really want to go home with you all, after finished speaking, Yi Hua wanted to puke out a mouthful of blood, but in the end, no matter how much he tried to puke it out, he was unable to do so. Only after he secretly poked himself did he have a reaction. Sure enough, with the addition of vomiting blood, the scene was even sadder. This demeanor. He was vomiting blood. These lines. Filled with longing and longing for home. This year's Best Actor award belongs to you. Wei Chang, who was in the sky, was also shocked by his honor's acting skills. All of this was done on the spot, especially that last line of his honor's, it was just too awesome. Sure enough, as soon as he said that, the two women burst into tears. Yi Hua snickered in his heart, and he was about to be unable to hold back his laughter. In actuality, during these 2 days, Yi Hua had specially gone to ask Qing Yutong about acting skills. Just like in Iron Man 1, the protagonist's last sentence, "I am Iron Man," actually, the line was not like that, but it was this kind of improvisation that created the next series. The atmosphere at the scene became sentimental, and the people from Voidless Realm all felt that the Empress's husband was amazing. It was a man. He had come here alone and fought against the shadowy figure. Facing such a powerful figure, he had persisted for so long. He had not come here for fame, but to bring his wife home. He was a true man. Voidless Realm's officers and soldiers seemed to have been infected by Yi Hua, and their eyes turned red. The members of the Ying family were all dumbfounded. Was this an act? Why does it feel so real? From the looks of it, Yi Hua's goal had been achieved, and he managed to deceive even his own people. Wei Chang felt that it was about time. Today's matter should have come to an end. Slowly landing, Wei Chang said indifferently, "Your courage is admirable, you are a true hero. What else do you want?" The two women could be seen protecting Yi Hua behind them. As an ordinary person, Qin Ye's courage was commendable. Seeing these two foolish women standing in front of him to protect him, Yi Hua's heart felt warm. This kind of feeling was something that he had never felt before. He had also experienced the feeling of being a death mage, and his heart was at peace. Wei Chang sighed with emotion in his heart. The madams are truly great, to be able to protect his honor even in this kind of situation. However, the script still has to continue. I admire the two of you. Even in such a situation where there is such a great disparity in strength, you are still protecting your husband. It would not be an exaggeration to say that you are a heroine. Wei Chang's flattery skills had already reached the pinnacle. Of course, it was also improvised. After a pause, Wei Chang asked, "Are you willing to die for the man behind you?" Qing Ye and Donghuang Baizhi slowly stood up and stood in front of Yi Hua. Their meaning couldn't be any more obvious. If Yi Hua wants to kill our man, then he will have to step over our corpses. Your Honor, it is time to wake up, I can't continue acting anymore. Wei Chang hurriedly contacted Wei Chang. Alright, Yi Hua felt great in his heart. Next up, it's my turn to go on stage. You two silly women, I don't need your protection. Yi Hua pulled the two women behind him. Ye Hua! Ye Hua! Yi Hua shouted out coldly, "Back down, if not, I will kill the two of you." Alright, Yi Hua is now the master of the situation. He is able to shout at Qing Ye and Donghuang Baizhi, and the two of them are still extremely touched. As expected of a big swindler, he doesn't even have to pay with his life. Wei Chang seemed to have been stunned by Yi Hua's actions and said gravely, "Your distinguished is still able to stand up even after receiving such a heavy injury, this tenacity of yours is enough to convince me. If your distinguished is able to receive a palm strike from me today, I will retreat." Yi Hua, don't. The two women immediately stopped Yi Hua. Yi Hua is already in such a state, if he were to receive a palm strike from me, he will definitely die. Yi Hua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, seemingly like he was tasting the last cigarette in his life. Looking at Yi Hua's smoking posture, the people from Voidless Realm fell into a sorrowful atmosphere, let alone the two women, they were about to faint from crying. When Wei Chang and Lai Gu saw how his honor was acting for them, they simply prostrated themselves in admiration. His honor truly doesn't let go of any opportunity to act cool. The time it took to finish a stick of cigarette was very fast. After flicking away the cigarette butt, Yihua raised his head slightly and said faintly, "Qingya. I'm here, I'm here." Qingya said hurriedly while supporting Yihua. "Properly give birth to our child. In the future, I won't be able to take care of you anymore, and I also won't be able to let you hug me when you sleep." Everyone listened to Yihua's passionate confession before his death. Even the people from Ying family were deceived by Yihua's acting. "This is too touching, I really want to cry, so there is actually such a man who is so infatuated with love in this world." Qingya shouted out, "Yihua, I won't allow you to die. Without you, how am I going to be able to sleep at night? If you are going to die, I will buy a bunch of dolls." "That's fine, let the dolls replace me then, but those dolls must have my name written on them." Hearing what Yihua said, Qingya was already sobbing uncontrollably. "Baiji." Yihua called out lightly, seemingly as if he was leaving behind his last words. "Yihua, I'm here." Donghuang Baiji held on to Yihua's other side. Yihua asked calmly, "Do you still hate me for not meeting you back then?" "I hate you. F***K, I am already in such a state, and you still hate me? Do you even have a bit of conscience? But I hate you for wanting to leave me again. You scared me so much that I jumped in fright. Baiji, it's a pity that I won't be able to properly compensate you. Take good care of Ali, let her know that Daddy sacrificed himself to save Mommy." "No. You have to take care of Ali together with me, Ali can't live without a father." Donghuang Baiji shouted out with heartache, and that hoarse voice of hers caused everyone's heart to shatter. Wei Chang and Lai Gu felt that his honor's acting was very lively, and they were almost moved by it. It seems like his honor is really going to die. If I am given another chance, I will definitely go downstairs back then and not let you down. From start to finish, Yihua was looking at the sky, but it was precisely because of this that everyone felt that Yihua was so cool. I know, Yihua, don't leave me again." In actuality, the reason why Yihua was looking at the sky was because he was about to not be able to hold it in any longer and was about to laugh out loud. However, when Yihua laughed out loud, his life would definitely change drastically. In the future, he would only have the life of being a loner. "Alright, the two of you take good care of each other in the future, your husband will be leaving first." Yihua lightly pushed out with both of his hands, restraining Qingya and Donghuang Baiji to prevent them from disturbing him. "Yihua! Yihua!" The two women's heart-wrenching screams resounded throughout Voidless Realm, and everyone was affected by this touching love story. Yihua slowly rose into the sky while carrying his weak body, then said coldly towards Wei Chang, "You better keep your promise. I didn't expect that your distinguished would sacrifice yourself for the sake of your true love. I am far inferior to your distinguished." Chapter 249. Stop with these flattering words, come. Yihua shouted out gravely, and his body that was originally slightly bent gradually straightened up. Although it was just a small detail, it was the detail that determined success or failure. That kind of great figure was immediately engraved in people's hearts, which had already exceeded the scope of acting. Wei Chang went into a slight daze. As expected, his honor is formidable. Wei Chang shouted out, "Since your distinguished has decided, then I won't be polite anymore." Turbulent energy suddenly burst out, the color of heaven and earth instantly changed, and thunder rumbled. Facing against this berserk aura, Yihua's expression remained unchanged. This courage of Yihua's caused the people from Voidless Realm to exclaim in admiration endlessly. Everyone said that the Empress has found a good man. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji sat on the ground and looked at their man foolishly. If I had known that it would be like this, I wouldn't have quarreled with Yihua. After today, even if I wanted to quarrel with someone, there wouldn't be anyone to quarrel with. Donghuang Baiji became even more regretful. If I didn't go and ask for Yihua's hand in marriage, Ying family wouldn't have attacked Voidless Realm, and Yihua wouldn't have died miserably. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. Berserk energy was currently gathering, and the black figure could be seen immediately transforming into a huge palm that carried a power that seemed to be able to destroy the world and attack Yihua. Of course, Wei Chang wouldn't really slap his honor's body over. If he were to slap his honor's body would definitely not be able to endure it, and his honor's body would be revealed. If that was the case, his honor would be finished. Just as it was about to touch Yihua's chest, it retracted all of its power. But even if it was to be recycled, the effect of the scene still had to be created. The special effects were absolutely conscientious. The huge airwave engulfed the entire voidless realm, and the mountains that were floating in the sky collided with each other one after another. It could be seen that voidless realm was going to have to be renovated. Yihua nodded towards Wei Chang, then puked out a mouthful of blood and flew out. He fell directly in front of the two women. His entire body was lifeless, and he looked no different from a dead person. Dong Huang Baiji stared blankly at Yihua, then suddenly puked out a mouthful of blood and fainted. To her, this kind of blow was too big. Dong Huang Baiji had just reunited with Yihua, and there were still a lot of things that she wanted to talk to him about. Dong Huang Baiji didn't expect that they would be separated by life and death so quickly. At this moment, Dong Huang Baiji's maiden heart died, and she fell asleep together with Yihua. On the other hand, Qingye did not faint, her expression was a bit sluggish, as if she had become stupid. No one at the scene spoke. They didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. A hero like this had gone through a difficult battle, but in the end, he still fell. The people from Voidless Realm were in great pain. The members of the Ying family were completely dumbfounded, and they couldn't even tell if it was true or not. Wei Chang began to make his closing remarks. This person's bravery is like that of a celestial being. I am sincerely convinced. Today's matter ends here. Sorry for disturbing you. Wei Chang was very satisfied. From now on, his honor's life should be filled with happiness. As his honor's subordinate, I am also endlessly happy. The people from Voidless Realm let out a sigh of relief. Jingshan came back to his senses, then cupped his hands towards Yihua and said, "You are the most affectionate man that I have ever seen, I am ashamed." Everyone from Ying family cupped their hands towards Yihua. It was fortunate that they did not kneel down, if not, the dead Yihua would definitely jump up. The battle finally ended, and the Ying family began to evacuate. You can't leave. His voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears. His tone was very cold and filled with pain. It made the listener feel especially uncomfortable, as if their hearts were blocked. Jingshan said to Qingye apologetically, "Please restrain your grief. You can't leave." Qingye's voice was filled with certainty, and it was also filled with Qingye's obsession towards Yihua. Yihua, who was lying on the ground, felt his heart sink. "I am not dead yet, why didn't you come over and check on me?" "Wei Chang, what happened to Qingye?" Yihua hurriedly contacted Wei Chang. Wei Chang said gravely, "I don't know, the madam is acting very strangely." Lai Gu was also very confused. "Your Honor, the madam's expression is a bit strange. You guys, take a good look at me. If anything happens to Qingye, I will stew you." Yihua was also a bit panicked. The plot was going well, why did something unexpected suddenly occur? Wei Chang said hurriedly, "Madam, please calm down, why don't you check on your husband first?" Yihua wished that he could slap Wei Chang to death. "This sentence of yours has too many loopholes." Right now, Wei Chang was also panicking. Fortunately, Dong Huang Baiji had fainted, and Qingye didn't listen to what Wei Chang said. "You guys are going to be buried together with my husband." A roar resounded throughout the world. Boom! A ray of white light descended from the sky and immediately enveloped Qingye within it. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered around Qingye, and the surrounding people couldn't help but retreat as they stared dumbfoundedly at the ray of white light that descended from the sky. Wei Chang was stupefied. Lai Gu was stupefied. Everyone in Ying family's jaws were about to drop onto the ground. Voidless Realm's people were stupefied. Yihua also sensed the change in Qingye, and he was also extremely astonished. What is going on? Is Qingye going to become Ultraman? The ray of white light that descended from the sky became denser and denser, and it even brought along a godly might, which was very similar to Donghuang Baizhi. Yuanda sensed it, and his eyeballs were about to pop out. Yuanda wasn't the only one who sensed the special godly might. Xing Han and He Xian had also sensed it. This is Nuwa's bloodline. She is actually Nuwa's descendant. Jingshan looked at the ray of white light blankly. No wonder his honor would treat them like this, each of their identities is more powerful than the other. Even Nuwa's bloodline has appeared, this also means that another crisis is descending. According to rumors, during the ancient era, the Heaven Emperor gave an order to suppress the humans, but the humans resisted. Thus, the Heaven Emperor sent out Nuwa to destroy the humans and recreate the humans that worshipped the gods. Who knew that Nuwa would disobey the Heaven Emperor's order and descend to the mortal world to protect the humans? The celestial ruler was furious. He removed Nuwa's godly record and sent out godly generals to destroy the earth. Nuwa led the humans to resist the celestial ruler. In the end, Nuwa died of exhaustion. Her descendants flowed into the human world and protected the humans for generations. However, in the end, she was still going against the gods. Nuwa's descendants became fewer and fewer, until today, when Qingye awakened her bloodline. Many people felt it. If such a thing didn't happen, Qingye wouldn't be able to awaken in this lifetime. Qingye's rage was soaring. Qingye actually broke through the strange seal and awakened the Eastern Emperor bloodline within her body. One must know that even Donghuang Baizhi has yet to awaken the Eastern Emperor bloodline. Because the Eastern Emperor bloodline can only be inherited by males, that was the reason why Yuanda was so anxious to let the Empress give birth to a male child. When Yihua sensed the aura that Qingye was emitting out, he was extremely shocked. Although she is a bit weaker than Wei Chang and the others, she is still stronger than Death Mage. As expected of my wife, she is able to give me surprises one after another. Wei Chang, why are you still standing there? Run! Before Wei Chang could even react, the white light that descended from the sky instantly disappeared. Right now, Qingye seemed to have completely changed into a different person, even the clothes that she was wearing had changed. Qingye was wearing a cyan-colored silk gown that was embroidered with butterflies and green patterns. Her hair was coiled into a unique cloud bun, and the godly might that was emitting out from her body couldn't help but make people have the urge to kneel down. Right now, Qingye had completely changed. Saying that she was a fairy would be an understatement, she was a true goddess-like figure. Wei Chang looked at Qingye blankly, and Qingye disappeared from where she was standing. Wei Chang was startled. A berserk aura came from behind Wei Chang. Chapter 250. Qingye had indeed gone berserk. She wanted to kill all of these people and bury them together with Yihua. Qingye's eyes were as cold as ice. The current Qingye was even more inhumane than Yihua. Wei Chang did not dare to injure Qingye. After all, he had already injured one of them. If he were to injure another one, it would be hard to say. Wei Chang's figure flashed and dodged Qingye's attack, then immediately teleported everyone to Ng Family's island. Madam's might is too terrifying. Luckily I didn't bring Death Mage over today, otherwise, I would have definitely been killed by the madam. Qingye's beautiful eyes turned cold, and she prepared to chase after Yihua. Wei Chang underestimated Qingye's desire for revenge too much. Yihua's death caused Qingye's heart to be torn apart. If not for her awakening, Qingye reckoned that she would have already died together with Yihua. That was why Yihua almost went overboard this time, and right now, he was not much better off. Feeling that Qingye was going to chase after Yihua and start a massacre, Yihua had no choice but to wake up. If he didn't wake up now, it would be hard to clean up the mess. Qingye, Yihua shouted out weakly, but he did not open his eyes, seemingly as if he was talking in his sleep. Qingye, who was preparing to chase after Yihua, went into a daze. She slowly turned her head around and looked towards Yihua, then instantly appeared beside Yihua and pressed onto Yihua's chest. Her originally cold expression suddenly loosened up, and tears of joy flowed out from her eyes. Yihua let out a sigh of relief. Finally, there is someone who came to check on me. If I was really injured, it would be very awkward for you all to leave me here. In actuality, I can still be saved. It can only be said that Yihua acted too much. Everyone thought that he was dead. Qingye could be seen carrying Yihua in her embrace and said tenderly, "Yihua, let's go home." In an instant, the three disappeared from Voidless Realm. Inside the bedroom, Qingye placed Yihua and Donghuang Baizhi on the bed. Right now, Yihua's armor had already disappeared, and the wounds all over his body caused Qingye's heart to break. Yihua's external injuries were rather easy to deal with. Qingye's delicate hands lightly caressed onto Yihua's chest, and Yihua's entire body could be seen emitting out a faint white light. The wounds on Yihua's body gradually healed. However, Qingye discovered that there was not a single bit of spiritual energy left within Yihua's body, and even his nerves were broken. This meant that not only did Yihua lose his power, he also lost the ability to move. Qingye blamed herself very much, but as long as Yihua is still alive, even if he is paralyzed, I will still take care of him for my entire life and properly love him. In the past, it was Yihua who protected me. Then, from today onwards, it will be me who will protect Yihua and not allow him to come to any harm. Donghuang Baizhi's injuries were still fine, it was just that she had fainted due to grief. Qingye easily woke up Donghuang Baizhi. The Donghuang Baizhi who woke up had a pair of empty eyes, as if she was just an empty shell. "Baizhi, Yihua didn't die," Qingye said tenderly. Spirit could be seen gradually returning to Donghuang Baizhi's gaze. Soon after, Donghuang Baizhi suddenly sat up and held on to Qingye's hand. "Qingye, is what you said true?" Qingye smiled lightly, "You will know once you take a look." Donghuang Baizhi didn't notice that Yihua was lying beside her, and she hurriedly checked on Yihua's condition. Although Yihua didn't die, if Yihua were to find out about his condition, he would definitely wish that he was dead. However, right now, Yihua was already aware of his own situation. If he didn't make it real, how could he possibly make them fall for it? After saving the beauties like a hero, he would definitely be able to enjoy the service of the beauties. This made Yihua very excited. As expected, all of the women that I have taken a fancy to are outstanding. They didn't throw my face, and when I bring them out, I will be able to gain face as well. Their looks are high, and their martial arts are high. Being a human really feels great. However, Yihua wasn't in a hurry to wake up yet. After suffering from such heavy injuries, how could he wake up so quickly? At the very least, he would need to sleep for a few hours. These few days, I have been a bit tired. "Mommy, Aunt Qing, you two really came back." Dong Huangli could be seen suddenly opening the door and walking into the house. Seeing that her daughter had come over, Donghuang Baizhi hugged her daughter into her embrace and cried out softly. "Mommy, what happened to you? Didn't Daddy go to pick you two up? Why are you lying on the bed?" Dong Huangli asked curiously. Hearing those naive words, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi's tears flowed down endlessly. "Daddy, Daddy, wake up, Ali is here." Dong Huangli shook Yihua who was sleeping. Yihua naturally didn't tell his daughter about his plan, and he only told his daughter that he would go and pick them up. Yihua who was sleeping was very gloomy. Hearing his daughter's childish voice calling out to him, he couldn't bear to wake her up anymore. "Ali, Daddy is asleep, don't disturb Daddy's sleep." Donghuang Baizhi hugged her daughter into her embrace. Meanwhile, Donghuangli was already crying out loudly, "Don't, Ali doesn't want Daddy to sleep, Ali wants Daddy to hug her." Yihua really wanted to get up and hug his daughter to tell her that he was fine. However, if he were to get up all of a sudden, it would be game over. Right now, Qingye suddenly rose to power, and she isn't afraid of me anymore. If I were to scold her a few times, wouldn't she be able to soar into the sky? Seeing that her daughter was crying endlessly, Dong Huang Baiji could only use a spell to put her daughter to sleep. Qingya, your bloodline. When Dong Huang Baiji woke up, she immediately noticed that something was wrong with Qingya. Qingya shook her head, I don't know either. Dong Huang Baiji didn't know much about Nuwa's bloodline, only those old men knew about it. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji only felt that Qingya had awakened some kind of bloodline. Back then, when Yihua accompanied Qingya to the hospital for a checkup, that little monk used his fiery golden eyes to see through Yihua's true body. Coincidentally, that little monk also saw Qingya's true body, which was why he was so scared that he ran away. After all, Nuwa's bloodline was too rare, and Nuwa was someone who went against the Heaven Emperor. Nuwa clan's mission was to protect the common people, and Yihua's mission in the past was to exterminate the common people. Right now, it wasn't any better. Life was full of surprises, and this was also what Yihua was looking for. Right now, Qingya had awakened her bloodline, and all the more, she wouldn't let Yihua kill people recklessly. Perhaps, while Yihua was killing people at the front, she would be saving people at the back. Qingya, let's give it a try. With our strength, we might be able to help Yihua stand up again. Dong Huang Baiji suggested. They indeed had the ability to help Yihua, but Yihua did it on purpose. Even if an overlord came to save him, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Qingya nodded her head. There is no way to help Yihua regain his lost strength, but at the very least, Yihua will be able to stand up again. The two of them helped Yihua up. Yihua, who had just fallen asleep, was woken up again. This is so painful. Can't you let me rest for a while? Sitting cross-legged behind Yihua, Qingya pressed onto Yihua's back with her delicate hands and continuously channeled spiritual energy into Yihua's body, healing Yihua's injuries. After a long while, the two of them checked on Yihua again, and they let out a heavy sigh. There is no effect. It might be that the shadowed man's special technique that caused Yihua to become paralyzed. The two of them took a look at each other, and Qingya didn't say anything. Dong Huang Baiji held onto Yihua's hand and placed it on her chest, and prayed in her heart. Just like that, the two of them accompanied Yihua by his side, and let Yihua look at them the moment he woke up. Perhaps, this way, Yihua wouldn't be so sad anymore. How could Yihua possibly be sad? Even in his dreams, he might even wake up laughing. Right now, Yihua was sleeping soundly. Chapter 251. In Qing Yutong's bedroom. Zizi, brother-in-law is back from acting cool. Qing Yutong said in a low voice. Zizi put down her mouse and picked up the spicy strip beside her. She ate it with relish, not worried at all. He was very curious about eldest sister-in-law. I feel that eldest cousin-in-law has changed after coming back. Zizi pouted, and her two ponytails swayed behind her head as if she needed someone to hold them back. Qing Yutong silently nodded her head. This time, when Big Sister came back, she brought along a strange aura, and the feedback that the system gave Qing Yutong was stupefied. According to the system's judgment, this was actually the bloodline of Nuwa. My dad is Nuwa. Obviously not. And Wang doesn't look like a descendant of Nuwa. Could it be that Big Sister picked it up? It seems like my sister's background is very mysterious now. Qing Yutong said solemnly, let's go over and take a look, and cooperate with brother-in-law. Okay, then we'll cooperate with big cousin. Should we cry? It doesn't seem to be too appropriate, right? Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. After speaking, the two arrived at Yihua's bedroom. Sis, why are you back? The best actress was indeed the best actress. Her acting skills were flawless. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji stayed by Yihua's side and remained silent. What's wrong with brother-in-law? Is he dead? Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. Zizi let out a cry of surprise, and tears streamed down her face. Big cousin, you died so miserably. Qing Yutong blankly looked at Zizi. Didn't I say that I won't cry? Then cry. Wah, brother-in-law, you died so miserably, I didn't even get to see you one last time. You still didn't tell me where you hid those top-notch spicy gluten. Donghuang Baiji and Qingye were both stupefied by the scene that was happening. The one who was even more stupefied was Yihua. I was clearly sleeping well, and suddenly, I heard the sound of ghosts wailing and wolves howling. I don't know if I was snoring just now or not. If I was snoring, that would really be awkward. You too, lower your voice, he's not dead yet. Qingye glared at her younger sister. Qing Yutong and Yizizi stopped crying and laughed dryly. It turns out that brother-in-law is still alive. Sorry for bothering you. We're going to play games now, he said as he pulled Yizizi away. At the same time, Qing Yutong also confirmed that her big sister had truly transformed into Ultraman. The power of bloodline is indeed awesome. I had painstakingly followed the system to complete the mission to reach my current achievement, and big sister is just like a GM, directly leveling up her level to the max. Looks like I'll have to hug my big sister's thigh tightly in the future. This is incredible. Brother-in-law and big sister are flying at the same time. What is there for me to be afraid of? I should go and stir up some trouble with Yizizi. Yihua, who was lying on the bed, felt that it was about time for him to get up, and he was a bit nervous. Let's see how their reaction is first. Yihua could be seen slowly opening his eyes with a confused look on his face. Seems like he is not done yet. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were both overjoyed, and the two looked at Yihua with concern. Where am I? Yihua asked weakly. The two women cried tears of joy, and Qingye said while choking with sobs, Yihua, we are home. No wonder it looks so familiar. I'm a bit thirsty. Yihua began hinting at Yihua. Donghuang Baiji immediately understood. I'll pour some water for you. Yihua expressed that he was very pleased. Seems like this is the only way to make the two of them obedient. Look at me now, just by saying that I'm thirsty, the two of them obediently went to pour some water for me. Yihua, the water is here. Don't move, I'll feed you. Donghuang Baiji said tenderly. She didn't have the airs of an empress at all, and she didn't have that fierce aura from before either. Yihua's expression turned cold. Do I, a man, need you to feed me? This sentence was just right, and it fully displayed Yihua's pride. Hearing that, the two women's hearts sunk. If he knew that he couldn't move, he would definitely break down. Be good, be obedient. Donghuang Baiji was coaxing a child, causing Yihua to not know whether to laugh or cry. Meanwhile, Qingye held onto Yihua's hand tightly, not having the heart to see Yihua suffer. It's time to feel. Why can't I move my hand? Yihua cried out in surprise, and his face was filled with astonishment. And my spiritual energy, where did it all go? Right now, Yihua appeared to be very crazy, just like a billionaire who went bankrupt. He didn't dare to accept what was happening in front of him. His acting skills were off the charts. Why is it like this? Yihua shouted out angrily. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji hurriedly leaned onto Yihua's hand and held onto it. Yihua, don't get agitated. Right now, you indeed don't have any spiritual energy left, and your body is also unable to move. Qingye said with pain in her heart. Looking at Yihua's crazy expression, Qingye felt as if her heart was being cut by a knife. He was a man who liked to act cool, and now that he was paralyzed, in the future, not to mention acting cool, even when he takes a bath, he would have to be served by me and Donghuang Baiji. Yihua, don't worry, Qingye and I will take good care of you. In this lifetime, we will never leave you. Donghuang Baiji promised. Looking at how much pain Yihua was in, she felt very uncomfortable in her heart. For a man who was originally so strong to suddenly lose everything, who would be able to accept such a blow? Yihua expressed that he was feeling very good right now. This is the effect that I wanted. Gradually, Yihua's expression calmed down. However, Yihua's expression was no longer as lively as it was in the past. Yihua! The two women shouted out worriedly. Yihua laughed at himself. I didn't expect that I would become a cripple. No, you will always be big and tall in my heart. Qingye tightly hugged onto Yihua's arm. The arm that was strong in the past was no longer there. Dong Huang Baiji nodded her head. That's right, as long as you are still alive, you will be my, Dong Huang Baiji's, man in this lifetime. Dong Huang Baiji, this supreme overlord's woman is indeed domineering. Dong Huang Baiji, this supreme overlord allows you to get on my bed. Yihua let out a heavy sigh. You two don't have to console me anymore. Right now, this is a good opportunity for you two. If you two want to leave, then leave. I won't be able to stop you two. Yihua. I'm telling you. I won't leave in this lifetime. If you say something like that again. I'm going to cry. Qingye's speech was already incoherent. In actuality, she was already crying, but she couldn't think of how to threaten Yihua. Dong Huang Baiji was even more formidable. If you say something like that again, I will let Ali listen to it and let Ali be the judge. Seeing that the two women were using such a matter to threaten him, Yihua almost laughed out loud. Endure it a bit more, Qingye, Baiji, I appreciate your kind intentions, but with my current state. Before Yihua could finish speaking, Qingye interrupted him. Yihua, Baiji, and I will be taking good care of you for the rest of our lives. Don't feel burdened, this is what we should be doing. What Qingye said is right. Yihua, you don't have to worry about anything, we will take care of everything. This feels great. I was waiting for you two to say this. Yihua remained silent for a long while, and in the end, he seemed to have compromised and said faintly, I want to drink water. Dong Huang Baiji immediately passed the water over. Right now, I really only have to move my mouth, and I don't even have to move my hands anymore. This feels great. Later on, I still have to smoke, I still have to drink, and I still have to take a bath. I have to take a bath at least 3 times a day, and I can't stop eating crayfish. Breakfast also needs to be rich and varied. Chapter 252. I, the Supreme Overlord, can finally enjoy the life of hugging beautiful women. Thinking about those family heads who have groups of wives and concubines, I really wonder how they managed to settle it back then. It must be very difficult. Fortunately, I have a good brain, and with the cooperation of a group of powerful subordinates, I was able to subdue them with a snap of my fingers. I am thinking too much. Other family heads only need to shake their bodies, and beautiful ladies will immediately flock to them. There is no need to make such a big scene. Of course, that depends on who the person is. People like Yihua who are picky and possess unparalleled power will not use that method, and Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji will not fall for it either. Yihua can do it forcefully, but in exchange, he will only get 2 soulless bodies. As a perfectionist, Yihua cannot accept such a method. Although the process is a bit risky, the reward is full of love. Just like right now. Yihua said faintly, I want to take a bath. The two of you hurry up and help me take a bath, Wei Chang's method is really good. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze, and their faces became a bit red. Yihua's heart sunk. I am already like this, and they are unwilling to take a bath. In actuality, the two beauties are just shy. Thinking about it, I have only seen him openly that night, and I have never done anything else. Forget it, you two can leave, I will do it myself. Yihua said coldly. I am very angry, the kind that can't be coaxed. Qingye hurriedly said, don't be angry, I will help you take a bath. I will have to trouble you then, Qingye, I will help Yihua take a bath next time. Dong Huang Baiji said shyly. Comparatively speaking, Qingye was still fine. After all, they have been sharing a bed for so long, but Dong Huang Baiji was not so lucky. Yihua felt that something is wrong. Why aren't the two of you together? And you still want to separate? However, let's settle down first, we will talk about it tonight. Sleeping together is definitely a must, right? Right now, Qingye is no longer an ordinary woman. She carried Yihua in her arms, and the scene was very touching, giving people the urge to laugh. Yi Hua, who was being carried in Qingya's arms, felt a bit embarrassed. I am actually being carried by a woman in such a position. You are not allowed to look at me. If you look, I will kill you. After placing Yi Hua into the bathtub, Qingya's face became slightly red, and she began filling the bathtub with water. Yi Hua felt so comfortable that he wanted to moan. If only Dong Huang Baiji was here to serve me as well. Right now, I'm just a fly in the ointment. Yi Hua, you can be at ease, I won't leave you just because you lost all of these. Qingya said tenderly while lightly wiping Yi Hua's palm. Yi Hua let out a heavy sigh. I still have to put on an act. After all, I can't accept it in a short period of time. I have to put on an act for 1 to 2 days. Yi Hua said faintly, for the sake of you all, what's the harm in losing a bit? Acting again, I know that you are definitely in a bad mood. If you want to cry, then go ahead and cry. After all, we are already an old couple. Qingya smiled warmly. Yi Hua felt that Qingya was indeed much gentler than before. That careful look of hers seemed to be afraid of hurting him. I'm so conflicted. If I were to let them know that this is all fake, I would be done for. It seemed like he had to slowly recover. He couldn't keep pretending, or else they might see through him one day. However, for Qingya to actually make me cry, that is impossible. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never cried before. Even if I am acting, I will not cry. He quietly condensed a drop of water in the corner of his eye. Damn it, for the sake of my acting career, I don't even care about my face anymore. Qingya, if you are to still be mischievous in the future, I will definitely not let you off easily. From the moment she saw Yi Hua, he had always been that kind of cold and aloof man. She had to listen to him for everything, and he would get angry whenever he was unhappy. However, that was only under the situation where he had the strength. Right now, he had nothing left, and his heart was definitely feeling unbearable and painful. Looking at Yi Hua's tear, Qingya's heart was simply about to shatter into pieces. Back then, such a strong man didn't even reveal an expression of pain even after receiving such a heavy injury. Now that there was no one else around, he finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Yi Hua's fake tear produced 10,000 critical damage, completely breaking through Qingya's line of defense. As expected of the best male lead. Qingya, who had tears all over her face, kissed Yi Hua. This scene was very beautiful. However, it was only for an instant, because the corner of Yi Hua's mouth revealed out an arc. Her lips still had the same taste, soft, and right now, there was even a unique aura that caused me, the Supreme Overlord, to be even more intoxicated. However, Yi Hua really wanted to hug onto her slender waist, but he was unable to do that. Yi Hua thought to himself that my hands should quickly recover, but if my hands were to recover, I would have to do a lot of things by myself. I might as well say that my hands are only slightly recovered, and I can't do any heavy work, but I can still stroke my hands a little. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua seemed to have a new plan. Qingya wiped very carefully, and that gentle look on her face caused even Yi Hua to be intoxicated. After all, Qingya was no longer an ordinary person right now, and right now, there was a unique aura of a monarch between her brows. Right now, Qingya was just like a woman who was supposed to be arrogant, but right now, she was lowering her status to serve you. Comfortable after Yi Hua finished showering, Qingya carried Yi Hua out of the bathroom again, and the scene was too embarrassing for others to look at. Yi Hua also felt that it wasn't good to continue hugging Yi Hua like this. Qingya, let's buy a wheelchair. Yi Hua suggested. Qingya said lightly, you don't like me hugging you? Seems like there are good and bad things about being paralyzed. Qingya could be seen laughing lightly, alright, I know that you want face, I will buy a wheelchair for you later. After finished speaking, Qingya kissed onto Yi Hua's forehead, then walked out of the bedroom. After Qingya left, Yi Hua suddenly sat up, and the arc on the corner of his mouth became bigger and bigger. I really want to King shout out. Suddenly, the door opened. Yi Hua immediately fell onto the ground, and he looked as if he was about to die. Dong Huang Baiji walked into the room while carrying a bowl of porridge. Are you still okay? Dong Huang Baiji placed the porridge on the bedside table and sat on the bedside. Yihua's heart was itching just by looking at the curves of her body. Speaking of which, since Qingye is pregnant and can't move, then Baiji should be able to move, right? Thinking about how I haven't moved for a few months, I am getting a bit restless. Seems like I can't continue being paralyzed for a long time. I should first enjoy this for a period of time, then let Dong Huang Baiji continue giving birth to my children. Right now, Yihua could only move his head, and he said calmly, I am much better. Drink some porridge. Yihua nodded his head. Dong Huang Baiji slowly helped Yihua up and leaned against the headboard of the bed. Dong Huang Baiji even used a technique to stabilize Yihua's body. This is clearly a sealing technique. Dong Huang Baiji lightly blew on the porridge and said embarrassedly, Yihua, this is my first time cooking. If it doesn't taste good, don't blame me, but I will slowly learn. Very good, my efforts were not wasted. In the future, you have to be obedient. I understand. Dong Huang Baiji replied shyly. I'm just asking you if you feel good or not. To think that such an unyielding woman like her was trained by me to be obedient and obedient. Looking at the porridge that Dong Huang Baiji extended over, Yihua took a look and was immediately startled. Why does the porridge look a bit black? It's burnt, Baiji. I suddenly discovered that I'm not hungry anymore. Yihua didn't have the heart to expose his woman's intentions. Dong Huang Baiji immediately understood and said tenderly, I will go and make another porridge for you. Looking at Dong Huang Baiji leave, Yihua stretched out his hand and wiped his hair. Look! Look! With just a slight hint from me, they immediately understood and obediently went to do it. Chapter 253. After quite a while, Dong Huang Baiji came in while carrying the freshly made porridge. Yihua, it's done this time. It's indeed done, it looks like porridge. After blowing on the porridge was sent into Yihua's mouth. After tasting Dong Huang Baiji's cooking for the first time, Yihua's eyebrows almost stood up. This porridge is even more salty than salted fish. This porridge is definitely salt instead of sugar. Yihua, what happened to you? Are you hurting somewhere? Dong Huang Baiji cried out in surprise and immediately checked Yihua's body. Water, water. After drinking a mouthful of water, Yihua let out a sigh. Baiji, there is something called takeout in this world, you should be able to go and find out about it. Yihua, takeout food is not hygienic, I will work hard and let you taste my cooking. Yihua was very gratified and said, Baiji, I am very happy that you can think like this, but the food that you make, you have to taste it yourself first, do you understand? Alright, I understand. Stay and accompany me to sleep tonight. Yihua finally set out his ultimate goal, which was to hug a woman on his left and right to sleep. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. Dong Huang Baiji was very embarrassed, then said while slightly lowering her head, I have discussed it with Qingye, we will take turns to accompany you. Tonight, Qingye will accompany you, and tomorrow night, I will accompany you. Yihua's expression stiffened. When did you discuss it? Why didn't you discuss it with me? Such an important matter, you two actually secretly decided on it. If that's the case, wouldn't all of my efforts have been wasted? No, I don't agree to take turns, I want to do it together. At this moment, Qingye pushed the wheelchair that she just bought and walked into the room, then said with a gentle smile, what are you two chatting about? You came at the right time, I wanted to talk about this serious matter. After all, I have two such beautiful wives, if I can't hug them to sleep at night, wouldn't I be at a loss? Furthermore, after doing so much, I just want to experience the feeling of hugging a woman on my left and right. Both of you, come and sit here. Yihua said faintly. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji took a glance at each other, then sat at the bedside. They were curious about what Yihua was going to do. Yihua said very straightforwardly, both of you stay tonight. The moment he said that, the faces of the two goddesses immediately turned red, but they did not immediately object. In the end, it was still Qingye who said, Yehua, we have already discussed it with Baiji. In the future, we will carefully take care of you for your entire life, and we will also be your woman for your entire life. However, regarding the matter of sharing a bed with you, can you not force us? Yihua, other than sharing the same bed, we can promise you anything. Donghuang Baiji also pleaded. It was already very rare for them to share a husband, but to have 3 of them share a bed, this was something they were very resistant to. It's over. My fantasy of hugging a woman on my left and hugging a woman on my right has been shattered. I, the Supreme Overlord, created such a big show, and yet, I still didn't manage to move them to death. Looking at the disappointed look on Yihua's face, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's heart ached endlessly. Logically speaking, since Yihua had risked his life to come and save us, no matter what, we have to agree to it. After all, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were already husband and wife. It just so happened that the 2 women's self-esteem was the kind that was bursting to the point of bursting, and it was already a miracle that they were able to tolerate each other. Yet, Yihua still wanted the 2 of them to be together. Yihua was simply dreaming, the 2 of them were not ordinary women. Yihua, I beg of you, don't make things difficult for us. Donghuang Baiji was so sad that she started crying. Qingye was the same as well. Yihua, don't be like this, I feel uncomfortable seeing you like this. I, the Supreme Overlord, was feeling very vexed. If I had known earlier, I would have died for a few days before reviving. I reckon that only then would it have been effective. However, it is already too late now. Act once more. The effect will definitely not be good. What I want is to hug a woman on my left and hug a woman on my right. Why can't the 2 of you satisfy this small wish of mine? Sigh, I understand, I won't make things difficult for the 2 of you. Yihua compromised. No, this is a temporary compromise. Yihua formulated his final plan, which was to hug a woman on his left and hug a woman on his right, and then look for an opportunity. Playing the hero to save the beauty and injuring oneself to gain sympathy definitely won't work, I have to think of another way. Seeing that Yihua didn't make things difficult for the 2 of them, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji leaned forward and kissed onto Yihua's cheeks. Although I won't be able to hug a woman on my right and left, it still feels great. Baiji, you go and deal with your own matters first, I will be fine with Yihua here. Qingye said concernedly. After all, with Voidless Realm in such a state, it would be very inconvenient for Voidless Realm to not have the Empress to oversee it. Donghuang Baiji's heart had already been snatched away by Yihua, so how could she possibly leave at this time? No need. Baiji, you go and deal with your own matters first. If the 2 of you keep looking at me like this, I won't be fine either. Yihua said. Right now, both the North and South are my people. Things will be much easier. Donghuang Baiji still listened to Yihua and said tenderly, I will be back soon then. After finished speaking, Donghuang Baiji kissed onto Yihua's forehead, then disappeared from the room. After Donghuang Baiji left, Qingye smiled tenderly, Are you happy? I am happy. After finished speaking, Yihua felt that something was wrong. I am already paralyzed, how can I still be happy? Yihua hurriedly explained, I am very happy to be able to protect the 2 of you from harm, even if I ended up like this. This desire to live sure is strong. Lightly leaning onto Yihua's embrace, Qingye said softly, Yihua, have I been very disobedient in the past? You still know. If the 2 of you are a bit more obedient, I will be able to be at ease. And, in the future, I won't make you angry anymore. Qingye, I am very happy to be able to have this kind of awareness. Qingye smiled tenderly and mumbled, Yihua, you are the best. My goodness is something that you all can't think of. If you all can think of it, then I don't need to live in this world anymore. Speaking of which, isn't it time for me to take a bath again? After returning to Voidless Realm, Donghuang Baiji put away her gentle face and displayed the might of an empress. She passed down orders one after another and began rebuilding Voidless Realm. In the palace, there were already 5 elders missing. All of them had sacrificed themselves in the battle this time. Only Yuanda, Xing Han, and He Xian were left. Dong Huang Baizhi sat on the throne and asked gravely, "What is the result of the battle this time?" Replying to your majesty, in this battle, Voidless Realm lost 3,871 people, 3,712 people were heavily injured, 2,183 people were lightly injured, and the remaining 893 people are unharmed. He Xian reported gravely. Dong Huang Baizhi's beautiful eyes revealed out killing intent as she shouted out coldly, "From now on, Ying family will be my Voidless Realm's sworn enemy. With the surname Dong Huang, I swear that I will definitely take revenge for Voidless Realm's dead souls and bathing family in blood." The three elders kneeled down simultaneously and shouted out, "Bathing family in blood." Soon after, Xing Han raised his own opinion, "Your Majesty, in this battle, Ying family suffered a huge loss as well. More than half of their clansmen were killed, and if it wasn't for someone helping them, they would have been completely annihilated." "That's right, if it wasn't for that shadowy figure and skeletal dragon, we would have definitely won. However, Your Majesty, you still have to pay attention to the people hiding in the dark," He Xian reminded. Chapter 254. How could Dong Huang Baizhi not know about this? Originally, our Voidless Realm was the strongest, and that's why we were able to suppress the northern aristocratic families, and even more so, Ji family. However, things are no longer the same now. Inform the entire Voidless Realm to make a foolproof plan and repair the barrier as soon as possible. Yes. Suddenly, Yuanda winked at the other two. The latter also winked, as if they had something to say, but did not dare to. "Feel free to speak your mind," Dong Huang Baizhi said faintly. Yuanda took a step forward. "May I know how your husband's injuries are?" "This emperor's husband is naturally fine." Everyone was shocked. Facing such a powerful attack, he actually didn't die. Truly amazing. God is blessing our Voidless Realm. The three elders spread open their arms and shouted out loudly, just like believers. He Xian hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, the Ying family has an expert helping them. If we want to win, we must inherit the bloodline power of the Eastern Emperor. We hope that Your Majesty will give birth to a baby boy soon," the three elders shouted in unison. Dong Huang Baizhi, who was sitting on the throne, had a slightly red face. "Am I going to give birth to another child with Yihua? I want to find a chance to discuss with Yihua about giving Ali a younger brother. However, when I think about Yihua's current state, will Yihua still be able to give birth to a child?" If Yihua were to know of Dong Huang Baizhi's thoughts, he would definitely recover within a few days and prepare to give birth to a child. How could one be enough? They needed at least one football team, one every year. Sir is more than 100 years old. Dong Huang Baizhi's tone became much gentler. "I will discuss it with my husband, you all don't have to worry about it." The three elders were finally relieved. Yuanda suddenly thought of something and asked, "Your Majesty, that person with the bloodline of Nuwa?" "Yuanda, are you saying that Qingye possesses Nuwa's bloodline?" Dong Huang Baizhi asked in astonishment. "Your Majesty doesn't know?" Dong Huang Baizhi shook her head. "I didn't expect that Qingye would actually possess Nuwa's bloodline." Feeling happy, Dong Huang Baizhi wrinkled her brows. The appearance of Nuwa's bloodline might cause some abnormalities. "Empress, please be careful," He Xian said in a low voice. "This emperor naturally knows. From now on, if there's any news, send it to the Jade Slip." The three elders naturally understood that creating a human was not something that could be done in a day or two. The Empress would definitely stay in the mortal world. "Your Majesty, please be at ease, we will take good care of Voidless Realm's reconstruction." "Alright, thank you for your hard work. This subordinate doesn't deserve such praise." After Dong Huang Baizhi disappeared from the palace, the three elders straightened their bodies and revealed out gratified expressions. The Empress is finally thinking about men, this is truly a good thing. This year, the Empress would be able to get pregnant, and the child would be born next year. When the child reached adulthood, the child would awaken the power of his bloodline. When Dong Huang Baiji appeared in the bedroom, the crayfish was already in position. Dong Huang Li's big eyes were already red. Dong Huang Li seemed to have just finished crying. Seeing that her mother had arrived, Dong Huang Li immediately pounced onto her mother. "Ali, what's wrong?" Dong Huang Baiji said with a smile while carrying her daughter. "Daddy said that he won't be able to move anymore, he won't be able to hug Ali anymore." Dong Huang Li once again started crying pitifully. Dong Huang Baiji consoled, "Ali, don't worry, Daddy will be fine in the future. Papa said the same thing just now, but I know you are all comforting Ali." Dong Huang Baiji looked towards Yihua with an astonished look in her eyes. Yihua, who was sitting on the wheelchair, said with a slight smile, "Just now, I felt that there was spiritual energy condensing within my body again. I believe that I will be able to fully recover in a short while." Yihua changed his battle tactic. He first prepared himself well to prevent himself from being discovered. "Just now, I have checked Yihua's body, and there is indeed a small lump of spiritual energy within Yihua's body. This is a good start." Dong Huang Baiji confirmed for a while, and sure enough, it was just as Yihua said. Tears began flowing out of Dong Huang Baiji's eyes as she hugged Yihua and said excitedly, "This is great. Don't cry, Ali is looking at you." Yihua let out a sigh of relief. Dong Huangli looked at Yihua and said, "Mommy, will Daddy be fine?" "And, Daddy will be fine." After getting her mother's affirmation, Dong Huangli became happy. "That's great, Daddy will be able to hug Ali and raise her up high again. Ali, peel the crayfish for Daddy." Dong Huang Baiji sat down, wiped away the tears of joy, and began peeling the crayfish for Yihua. "Daddy, open your mouth." Little Ali picked up the crayfish meat and fed it to her father. "Yihua, here," Qingye said tenderly. "Yihua, here," Dong Huang Baiji said with a gentle smile. "I dare to say that in this world, there isn't a man who is more blessed than me. However, I have already laid the foundation for everything. When the time comes, I will just have to find an opportunity to make a move. Everything is so reasonable, there aren't any loopholes at all." "Where are Yutong and Zizi?" Qingye said with a slight smile. "They went out to eat." Originally, Aunt Yi came to ask Ali to go with them, but Ali wanted to accompany Daddy, so Ali refused. Dong Huangli said happily. What Dong Huangli meant was, "Daddy, quickly come and praise Ali, Ali is so obedient." Yihua naturally had to praise Ali, Dong Huangli said with a happy look on her face. "Didn't Yutong say that she is going to do a live stream? Why hasn't she done anything yet?" Yihua asked curiously. Qingye shook her head. "Who knows, she has a new idea every day. It's going to be September soon, Yizizi should be sent to school, don't always stay at home and play games." Yihua said gravely. "Right now, Yizizi's temperament is more or less the same as before." Qingye nodded her head. "Ali wants to go to school and learn knowledge too." Dong Huangli shouted out. Dong Huang Baiji laughed tenderly. "Ali is not at the age to go to school yet." "Then, when can Ali go to school?" Dong Huangli asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji pinched onto her daughter's cheeks. "After Ali's 3rd birthday, she will be able to go to kindergarten." "Kindergarten?" "But Aunt Yi said that she is in the 2nd grade of elementary school, and Ali wants to go to school together with Aunt Yi." "If not, I won't go to school." Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Her goal was to go to school together with Yizizi. Looking at Dong Huangli's adorable look, the three laughed lightly. "Ali is so sensible, it doesn't matter if she doesn't go to kindergarten." Yihua said faintly. Yizizi going to school was to cultivate her humanity, and her daughter didn't need to go to school at all. Qingye had a different opinion. "How can that be? Kindergarten is the beginning of school. It's not like I haven't gone to school, and I still have my current achievements." Yihua, who was sitting on a wheelchair, said. "Those who haven't gone to school are sitting on a wheelchair. You sure have a lot of twisted logic." Qingye laughed lightly. What kind of attitude is this? Just a few hours ago, you said that you want to be obedient. Yi Hua said faintly. Just how long has it been, and you are already going against me? Qing Ye immediately smiled apologetically. All right, I was wrong. Dong Huangli looked to the left and to the right, appearing to be in deep thoughts. Chapter 255. Dong Huang Baiji held onto the cigarette, while Qing Ye lit the cigarette. Yi Hua sat in the posture of a big boss and enjoyed a different kind of service. Baiji, is there any result on your side? Yi Hua asked curiously. I don't know what Voidless Realm is thinking. Dong Huang Baiji held onto the cigarette butt and said faintly, this Ying family must be eradicated. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth slightly moved. This Ying family is my subordinate. Although they are a bit weak, at the very least, they are still somewhat useful. For example, during the performance this time, that Ying Jingshan's performance was pretty good. It would be a pity to eliminate them just like that. Fortunately, this time around, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were the ones taking action. If Death Mage was the one taking action, he wouldn't be able to give his woman any pressure. The result was that his woman couldn't fight with the Ying family, but she could have the other families fight and kill each other. That would be quite interesting. Qing Ye silently said, that shadowy figure seems to be very powerful, and that bone dragon too. Yi Hua couldn't help but nod his head. He seemed to be telling Dong Huang Baiji not to touch Ying family for the time being. Although Ying family is insignificant, it is still somewhat useful. However, after Yi Hua nodded his head, Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously, Yi Hua, that shadowy figure heavily injured you, could it be that you are going to let him off so easily? That's right. That shadowy man is really despicable. I didn't perform well, it's been too long since I fought. Seeing that Yi Hua wanted to save face, Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji smiled tenderly. Yi Hua exclaimed out loud, what a close shave. I would have been discovered just by a slight bit of an attention. Baiji, do you have any good ideas? Qing Ye asked curiously. Upon thinking of a method, Dong Huang Baiji's beautiful face immediately turned red. Furthermore, it was a very red kind of red. Smoke. Yi Hua reminded. Dong Huang Baiji extended the cigarette butt to Yi Hua's mouth and let Yi Hua take a puff. Dare I ask which man is as happy as me? My wife lights up the cigarettes, my other wife sends the cigarettes over, and I only have to move my mouth. There is a way. Dong Huang Baiji flicked away the ash from her cigarette and said with a red face. This caused Yi Hua to go into a daze. My woman actually has a solution. How could that do? Hurry up and dispel her idea. This shadowy figure and the bone dragon are not easy to deal with. Let me cultivate for a few hundred years first. When that time comes, I will avenge you, Baiji. Who knew what it would be like after a few hundred years? Dong Huang Baiji said shyly, this method of mine will only take around 10 years. Baiji, just say it, your face is already so red. Qing Ye was left in suspense. The more Dong Huang Baiji acted like this, the more curious Qing Ye became. Dong Huang Baiji bit onto her lower lip and mumbled, this method of mine requires Yi Hua's cooperation. What do you mean? You want me to cooperate with you? If that's the case, my main body will definitely not cooperate with you. Maybe I'll consider it a few hundred years later. Baiji, I'm so worried about you. My voidless realm belongs to the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, and if one wants to inherit the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, one must be a male. Meanwhile, Ali is a female, and thus, she is unable to inherit the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, therefore. Speaking up to here, Dong Huang Baiji's face was about to bleed. Yi Hua finally understood and said faintly, so, you want Ali to become a boy? I won't allow it. Girls are pretty good. Quickly give up on this idea. Pfft. The two women were immediately amused by Yi Hua. This blockhead actually doesn't know what he means. What are you two laughing at? I am talking about this matter very seriously, be more serious. Yihua shouted out in a low voice. Dong Huang Baizhi extinguished Yihua's cigarette petulantly. Do you even want me to explain this matter clearly? It's fine as long as you understand what I mean. Yihua immediately wrinkled his brows. I haven't even taken 2 puffs of this cigarette and you already extinguished it. What a waste, hurry up and give it to me. Yihua, just smoke less. What Baizhi means is for you to help her give birth to a boy. Qingye smiled helplessly. Sometimes, I am extremely smart, but sometimes, I am half stupid. Alright, I take back what I thought just now. This method must be strongly advocated and fully cooperated with. After all, I am an expert in giving birth to a child. Baizhi, just say it directly, we will start tonight. Yihua couldn't wait to start right now. These 2 women are becoming more and more enchanting. Qingye teased, Baizhi can do it, can you? Who said I can't? Yihua suddenly thought of something. I am currently acting as a paralyzed person. F***K. This is all Wei Chang's rotten idea. Right now, my wife has a need for me, so I have no choice but to continue acting. I will be fine after I recover. Yihua said while stammering. We have only chatted for a short while, and we are already about to expose ourselves twice. Dong Huang Baizhi felt that Yihua was rather sad, and thought that Yihua was sad because of her injury. Thus, Dong Huang Baizhi consoled Yihua, it's alright, take it slow, it's not like I will run away. These words sound very comfortable. Just wait for me, I will be able to pamper you at any time. However, I have to be fair and not wrong Qingye. The most pitiful thing is that I can't hug one on the left and one on the right. If I were to place both of them on the bed, then, just thinking about it makes me a little excited. I didn't expect that there would be times where I would be excited. This is truly mystical. Daddy, Ali finished watching Calabash Brothers. Dong Huangli bounced over and was carried into her mother's embrace. Yihua laughed lightly, Ali, after watching Calabash Brothers, go and watch Snow White. Daddy will test you when the time comes. Alright, Ali loves tests the most. Patting onto her daughter's head, Dong Huang Baizhi said, alright, Daddy is going to rest now. Let's accompany Daddy to sleep tomorrow, okay? Alright, Aunt Qing, Daddy will be handed over to you. Qingye also smiled tenderly, okay, Aunt Qing will definitely serve your papa well. Qingye pushed Yihua back to the bedroom. Yihua's first sentence was, I want to take a bath, why didn't I see you taking a bath so diligently in the past? Qingye carried Yihua up. This caused Yihua to feel extremely gloomy. The main thing is that Qingye is carrying me like a princess. This is so awkward. I have decided to take a bath 3 times a day, once in the morning, once at noon, and once at night. Qingye laughed, Yihua, are you trying to tire me to death? Let me stink to death then. You are already like this, but your temper still hasn't changed at all. Qingye placed Yihua into the bathtub and began filling up the bathtub with hot water. Qingye, don't you want to take a bath? Come over and join us. Yihua has a purpose, how can I take a bath for nothing? Qingye rolled her eyes at Yihua, I will take a bath myself later. Sigh, I can't move my hands and feet either, if not, I would skin you. Qingye blinked her mischievous eyes, that's right, I can bully you now. Qingye. What are you trying to do? Yihua was startled and felt that the situation wasn't good. Qingye revealed out a crafty smile, Yihua, you have bullied me for so long, now that I finally have the chance to bully you, let me bully you too. You dare. If you dare to touch me, I will. I will. Go on and cry, if you cry, I will not bully you anymore. Qingye. Don't forget that I saved the 2 of you, and even got paralyzed and lost my power, you cannot pinch my face. Qingye's hands were currently pinching Yihua's face, making Yihua make all kinds of faces. Wei Chang. This is all your good idea. Chapter 256. Under Yihua's threatening gaze, Qingye kissed Yihua to comfort him. I like your way of apologizing, but I hope that we can have a bath together. Do you dare or not? However, he did not achieve his dream. After quite a while, Yihua was carried onto the bed by Qingye, and after pinching onto Yihua's cheeks, Qingye said sweetly, Yihua, when you have fully recovered, I will take a bath together with you. Alright, I don't want to be paralyzed anymore. No. This cunning Qingye is definitely trying to test me, how can I possibly fall for it? Besides, she was his wife. Would it kill him to look at her? After a long while, Qingye appeared in front of Yihua's eyes while wearing thin pajamas. Upon seeing Qingye, Yihua became very angry. Any normal man who saw Qingye's delicate body would definitely have some thoughts, especially the current Qingye, who was even more beautiful than before. In order to act as a paralyzed man, I, the Supreme Overlord, can't even move my hands now. In the past, even if I couldn't see my hands, I could still enjoy my hands. Lying on her beloved man's chest, Qingye said tenderly, Yihua, I like you so much. Yihua went into a slight daze, and at the same time, a feeling of guilt welled up within him. I don't know what will happen if I confess. Forget it. Leniency for confessing was a lie. Qingye, after you give birth to this child, let's have another one. Qingye rubbed against Yihua's chest and said lazily, I will listen to you. As expected of my woman, obedient. Although Yihua felt a little guilty, he felt that he was feeling very good right now. Thinking back to the past, he felt that he had never felt so good before. Qingye smiled sweetly, look at how complacent you are you satisfied now? Satisfied, satisfied. Alright, go to sleep. You're already tired today. Yihua nodded his head. I can finally have a good sleep today. Tomorrow, it will be Donghuang Baiji's turn to accompany me to sleep. I, the Supreme Overlord, am very happy about this. To express the joy in his heart. Forget it. I'll wait until I have two beauties in my arms, then I'll pardon the world. If Yihua were to grant amnesty to the entire world right now, Long Outyen would be the one who would feel the best. In the thatched cottage, Long Outyen was ready to set off again. In just a month, Long Outyen had managed to raise his dragon god technique to the 3rd stage. One could not help but admit that he was a genius. Nonsense. If Long Outyen didn't work harder on his cultivation, how would he be able to go to the city and make a name for himself? How would he have a harem of 3,000 beauties? Meng Meng. I don't know when we'll meet again after today, Long Outyen said as he hugged the woman in his arms. Meng Meng hugged Long Outyen's tiger body and said, Outyen, no matter how long it takes, Meng Meng will wait for you. Meng Meng, you are so nice. Can you prepare more antidote for me? Long Outyen's tone was a little awkward. This Meng Meng was too good to him. This love gu was the best among all gu. Ao Tian, these are all of Meng Meng's antidotes. When you come back 1 year later, at that time, there will be a lot of antidotes. Meng Meng was very reluctant to part with Ao Tian. A man's ambition was to travel far and wide, and her own 4 directions was only him. Long Outyen heaved a heavy sigh. Meng Meng, take good care of yourself. I'll bring you out after I make a name for myself. Yes, Meng Meng will wait for that day. Alright, I'm leaving. Outyen, looking at Long Outyen's departing figure, Meng Meng burst into tears. Walking out of the thatched cottage, Long Outyen clenched his fist. Right now, my dragon god technique has already reached the 3rd level. No matter if it is my speed or my strength, both of them have increased by a level. In the end, I still have to thank that assassin. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to reach the 3rd level in such a short amount of time. After walking for close to a kilometer, Long Outyen shouted loudly, come out. Right now, Long Outyen had already taken off his modern clothes and was wearing a cyan robe that Meng Meng personally made. Needless to say, Long Outyen was a little handsome. Death Assassin instantly appeared in front of Long Outyen like a specter, giving Long Outyen a fright. I am currently at the 3rd level of Dragon God technique. It's not that I, Long Outyen, am bragging, but you are no longer my opponent now. If you are tactful, hurry up and scram, I'll spare your life. Long Outyen began to brag, but in actuality, he was extremely nervous in his heart. GGG, Imperial Translation, Salted Fish, if you don't train your Dragon God technique to the pinnacle, don't even think about leaving this place. Not knowing what Death Assassin was laughing about, Long Outyen stood in a horse stance and shouted lightly. The leaves in the surrounding immediately flew up, and Long Outyen even pointed at Death Assassin and shouted loudly, "Come over." Death Assassin let out a light sigh, then pulled out a dagger from his waist and stabbed Long Outyen. Long Outyen's expression became grave. Death Assassin's speed is indeed fast. However, the present is different from the past. Long Outyen, am no longer that small fry from back then. His body flashed. Death Assassin was a little surprised. This Long Outyen's improvement speed is quite fast. Long Outyen was a little dazed as he touched onto his hair, then inspected his clothes. I remember that my hair was cut off by Death Assassin last time, but today, I am actually not injured at all. This is great. I, Long Outyen, have finally dodged his attack. When I reach the 4th level, I will be able to defeat him. Without thinking too much, Long Outyen turned around and ran. Just you wait, Long Outyen, will still be back. Death Assassin did not chase after Long Outyen and looked at Long Outyen running frantically. After running to the front of the thatched cottage, Long Outyen gasped for breath. When he was dodging Death Assassin's attack just now, he had used too much of his essence, chi, and spirit, causing him to be unable to breathe. Pushing open the wooden door, Long Outyen laughed loudly and said, "Meng Meng, I'm not leaving anymore. Outyen, I have already made the noodles for you. Quickly eat it while it's hot." Meng Meng could be seen walking over while holding onto the noodles that were just made. The timing was just right. Not knowing if it was because of warmth or because of heartache, Long Outyen had the urge to cry. If not for the matter that happened earlier, Long Outyen would have suspected that Meng Meng was the one who arranged the assassin. While eating the love noodles, Long Outyen's tears flowed down, not knowing if it was because he was moved or because of heartache. After eating the noodles, I will properly love Meng Meng and continue training. I, Long Outyen, must live up to my name. In the future, I will definitely conquer the entire world and make everyone tremble under my feet. I will also make Qingyu regret that she did not choose me, Long Outyen, and chose a man who likes to smoke and act cool. His way of acting cool is too low level. Long Outyen will never imitate him in my entire life. Meng Meng, where did my cigarette go? Here, you can only smoke 1 cigarette per day. After lighting up the cigarette, Long Outyen felt very comfortable, as if the entire world was his. Right now, it was already late at night, and in a dark alley in Long An City, there were a few figures. Among them, 2 were the delicate and charming Qing Yutong and Yizizi. Qing Yutong was disguised as a big sister again. After all, her current status had not expired yet. Yizizi was still dressed in lowly attire, and Yizizi really wanted to grab onto the ponytail at the back of her head and ride it ferociously. Chapter 257. Yizizi's saliva flowed out from her mouth. Tell big sister Qing to leave for a while, I am going to eat. The few robust men had never seen this beautiful woman before, and this little lowly, she is simply like a big sister from the anime. Those big eyes of hers caused us to become beastly. Little sister, big brother has lollipops here, they are very tasty. The robust man slightly bent his waist and teased Yizizi, and the few robust men behind him laughed out loud. Qing Yutong protected Yizizi behind her. What are you guys trying to do? If you have something to say, then come at me. Big beauty, don't be anxious, I will let you know how powerful Big Brother's battle strength is, how deep my martial arts are, and I am also proficient in 108 rare finishing moves. The robust man walked closer step by step with a lascivious smile on his face. Qing Yutong scolded in a low voice, "Shameless villain. My teeth are very white." Yi Zizi said in a low voice, "Big sister Qing, how about you leave for a while and let Zizi play?" "Zizi, you are too disloyal." Hey, the two of you don't need to discuss anymore, come at me together." The robust man poked his hands together, he was already a little impatient, this pair of big and small beauties can fight until dawn. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi continuously retreated, that fearful expression made the robust men even more excited, they liked to see this kind of expression on other people. Right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi looked at that figure, the figure had a cigarette in his mouth, a calm expression, and both of his hands were in his pockets. The man could be seen glancing at them, then continuing to walk. "Brat, consider yourself mistaken." The robust man thought that a hero came to save the beauty, but in the end, he did not have the guts to pretend to be a passerby. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had never seen a man who could act cool like this before, he is simply invincible. "Hey, why didn't you save us?" Qing Yutong was puzzled, and shouted out. The man blew out a mouthful of smoke towards the sky, "Why should I save you guys? Damn, this man is truly arrogant." Seeing that the man stopped walking, the robust man shouted out threateningly, "Brat, quickly scram, don't disturb Grandpa's happy occasion." Yi Zizi asked pitifully, "Big brother, why didn't you save us?" The man snorted and said disdainfully, "It's kind of me to help you call the police when I see this kind of thing. It's normal for me to walk over. After all, I'm not the Virgin Mary. I don't save anyone I see. Big brother, you won't have a girlfriend in the future if you act like this." Yi Zizi pouted. "She was going to suck you dry later. Who asked you to act like a pretentious prick?" Qing Yutong also agreed, "That's right, he didn't even want the chance to be a hero and save the beauty. Do you think I'm stupid? Just by looking at your clothes, I know you're some rich young ladies. If I save you now, you'll probably ask me to be your bodyguard, and then a touching love story will happen. I won't fall for it." The expressions of Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi froze, and the few muscular men were also shocked. "We have never seen someone who is so good at bragging before. TSK. How dare you molest a young girl in broad daylight? I'm going to take care of this matter." A man descended from the sky like the wind, especially that stalwart figure. "Wow, big sister Qing, he's so handsome." "Yeah, so handsome." Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were like two infatuated girls, and they had an intoxicated look on their faces. This caused the man with the cigarette to be stupefied. "You two became infatuated just because of this? This trick is too old, isn't it? This is a trick from a few years ago." Song Ji slowly turned his head around and looked towards the man with the cigarette, as if he was saying, "Although it's old, it's still a classic, you idiot." Sabai seemed to have understood, and he slowly walked over and said gravely, "Brother, this is my place, don't interfere." "Hee, weren't you acting cool just now? If you want to leave, leave quickly." Song Ji ruthlessly struck down on Sabai. This caused Sabai to be very depressed. Originally, he wanted to take a different route, but in the end, someone interfered halfway. The muscular men came back to their senses and shouted angrily, "You two little rabbits are tired of living. Brothers, attack! Kill them all!" Song Ji snorted coldly, "Kneel down." A formless power pressed the muscular men onto the ground. The few muscular men immediately revealed a frightened look. Sabai snorted coldly, "Kneel down." Plop. The muscular men all kneeled down. "Kneel down. Call me Grandpa." Song Ji shouted gravely. "If you want to compete, then come." As expected, the muscular men kneeled down again and shouted out loudly, "Grandpa, Grandpa." Sabai was disdainful. "Let's compete then. Kneel down and bark like a dog." The muscular men could be seen kneeling down again. "Woof, woof, woof, kneel down. Call me Grandpa. Kneel down. Bark like a dog." Kneel down. Call me grandpa. Kneel down. Bark like a dog. Who could understand the bitterness in the muscular men's hearts? Gradually, blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. Under such huge pressure, how could ordinary people continue to endure it? Pfft! The few muscular men spurted out blood one after another and died with their eyes wide open. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi let out a long, "Oh," you two played him to death. Song Ji and Sabai didn't expect that the other party would die just like that, and they were slightly startled. Big sister Qing, let's quickly call the police, a murder case happened here. Yi Zizi hurriedly shouted. That's right, facing this kind of evil thing, we have to resolutely stop it, and I also have to be a witness. That Zizi also has to be a witness, lock them up and send them to jail. Song Ji and Sabai were both speechless. Didn't I do all of this to save you too? Young miss, is this a misunderstanding? I am also doing all of this to save you too. Song Ji persuaded with kind words, it wouldn't be good if I really call the police. That's right, I am just a passerby. Sabai forced a smile. Yi Zizi snorted, you two are murderers, you two have to pay with your lives. Little friend, don't go too far. Otherwise. Sabai was also angry, I saved you two out of kindness, and yet you two actually want to be a witness. Song Ji said in a low voice, brother, seems like they are determined to call the police, let's just take one each, I want the small one, and leave the big one for you. Sabai remained silent for a while. In any case, I am a person who got the 3 Merit Student Award, how can I agree to such a shameless question? Alright, we will exchange again tomorrow. Song Ji patted onto Sabai's shoulder, brother, you sure are shameless enough. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi instantly forced the 5 good young men to become criminals, I am sincerely convinced. What are you two doing? Don't come over, if not, I am going to scream. Qing Yutong hugged onto Yi Zizi and cried out in surprise. With a smile on their faces, Song Ji and Sabai said, go ahead and scream, even if you scream until your throat breaks, no one will save you too. Save me, Qing Yutong symbolically shouted out twice, and Yi Zizi licked the corner of her mouth. These two are much more delicious than those people suddenly. The air was pervaded with the smell of blood, and this wasn't an ordinary smell of blood, it was very thick, and even Yi Zizi became interested. Song Ji and Sabai's expression changed, and without thinking much, they immediately ran. Kneel down. The faint words were like 2 palms that pressed Song Ji and Sabai onto the ground, and a hole was smashed out from the cement floor. A lump of black fog could be seen suddenly appearing in the air, and the black fog gradually formed into a humanoid shape, and the humanoid shape became a middle-aged man who wore a suit. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were both stupefied. What is this situation? Who are you? To actually dare to spoil my business? Sabai shouted out angrily. The middle-aged man could be seen stretching out his right arm, and his entire right arm began squirming, just like a worm. In an instant, his entire right arm turned into a terrifying monster, and with a single bite, the middle-aged man swallowed Sabai whole. You, just who are you? Song Ji was already scared to the point that he peed in his pants. Looking at the rows of sharp teeth and the mucus that was dripping down, the middle-aged man simply looked like an alien. Chapter 258. Yi Zizi's pair of scarlet eyes were about to pop out. Originally, I only came out to do some bad things for fun, but I actually met with so many twists and turns, and even the 7 great sins have appeared. This monster is actually exactly the same as the gluttonous monster, so exciting, so fun, so exciting. After that, the middle-aged man looked towards Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi with cold eyes. Ha! Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi clenched their small fists and pointed towards the middle-aged man, seemingly wanting to fight against this gluttony head-on. 1 second later. While holding hands, the two turned around and ran, and while running, they shouted, we can't win, we can't win. Yi Zizi was actually very excited. She was wondering who was more powerful between Gluttony and Wei Chang. I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder if they have his honor or not. If I tell his honor about this matter, his honor will definitely be very excited. Zizi, why did you run away? That person seems to be very powerful. Qing Yutong asked curiously. This was not Yi Zizi's personality. Right now, Qing Yutong still didn't know which organization her brother-in-law was from, which was why she was puzzled. Sister Qing, I am also one of the 7 deadly sins. Yi Zizi pointed at herself and smiled. Ah! Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. Then, she thought for a moment and her mouth formed an O shape. Then, brother-in-law is also one of the 7 deadly sins? Wrong, wrong, wrong. Big cousin is not one of the 7 deadly sins. He is the source of the 7 deadly sins. This caused Qing Yutong to be stupefied. I never would have thought that brother-in-law would be so formidable. Then, Zizi, what is your zodiac sign? I'm awesome. Zizi, are you lazy? Qing Yutong guessed. Yi Zizi's small face collapsed. Is it that obvious? Haha. Qing Yutong had never seen someone who was lazier than Qing Yutong. Who is that Lai Gu? Qing Yutong continued to ask. Yi Zizi placed both of her hands behind her head and laughed tenderly. Lai Gu, a lecherous bone dragon. OF*CK, what about Uncle Wei? Qing Yutong asked. You're talking about gluttonous monsters. He's gluttonous. He eats more than me. Yi Zizi let out a deep sigh. The gluttonous monster wouldn't even let the dead go. At least she was only sucking the living. Qing Yutong felt that something was definitely wrong, and she hurriedly asked, then, who was that person just now? That's why it's fun. Someone is using Big Cousin's name to swindle people. It feels so exciting and fun. Qing Yutong's eyes lit up. No wonder he pulled me and ran away just now, so it turns out that he has some wicked ideas again. Seeing the 2 women running away, the middle-aged man was about to chase after them when a voice rang out in his ears. Gluttony. Come quickly. The middle-aged man paused for a moment before stepping into the black vortex again. 7 people stood on top of a valley in the southeast. Suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared, and the middle-aged man from earlier walked out of the whirlpool and shouted out to a tall and big man, Your Honor. At first glance, it was a shocking sight. This person was wearing a strange robe that was inlaid with all kinds of patterns, and under the robe was a skeleton. Red dots flashed in his eye sockets, and there was a fist-sized red glow on his chest. He crossed his hands inside his robe and stared at the building below. Why are you late? His Honor's words carried an ice-cold aura, seemingly without a trace of emotion. Your Honor, please forgive me. Gluttony knelt in midair and lowered that proud head of his. His Honor said faintly, if there is a next time, I will definitely punish you. Thank you, Your Honor. After finished speaking, Gluttony stood back into the group. All of the 7 deadly sins looked very strange. Among them, there was a little lowly that looked exactly like Yi Zizi, and there was also a refined man who was wearing glasses. Greed, who are those people below? His Honor asked gravely. The refined man who was wearing glasses could be seen walking out slowly and replied respectfully, Your Honor, those people below are one of the powers in the south, Dry Zen sect. Let's start from them then. His Honor said calmly. The 7 people behind His Honor replied respectfully, yes. Late at night, Dry Zen sect was very quiet, and only the patrolling disciples were walking within the sect. However, those disciples weren't very vigilant, and they were yawning continuously, to the point where they didn't even notice that 7 figures had appeared not far away from them. Cough, cough, cough. Greed coughed lightly and rubbed his eyes. At this moment, only then did the patrolling disciples react and cried out in surprise, Who are you all? We are here to save you all. Greed said lightly. When this strange melody entered their ears, the expressions of the disciples gradually loosened up. Thank you, Lord, for saving our lives. Go on, kill your companions. Greed said faintly. Yes, Lord. The disciples appeared to be very normal, and very quickly, screams of pain rang out within the quiet dry Zen sect. Every single one of the 7 deadly sins had an infatuated look on their faces, as if they were listening to the most beautiful melody in the world. The 7 of them instantly split up and began a one-sided massacre. As his honor, he slowly descended into the sect, stepped onto the blood, and enjoyed the screams of pain coming from the humans. 5 minutes later, dry Zen sect quieted down, and Gluttony could be seen carrying a person in his hand. The person was precisely dry Zen sect's sect master, Che Zhishuan. Right now, Che Zhishuan's face was pale white, both of his arms were torn off, and blood was flowing non-stop. Raising his head and looking at the person in front of him, a trace of astonishment flashed past Che Zhishuan's eyes. The person in front of him is actually a skeleton. Who are you? Why did you exterminate my sect? Che Zhishuan asked weakly. His honor stretched out his skeletal hand and tapped onto Che Zhishuan's forehead, then said faintly, I merely like to kill people. Following that, Che Zhishuan's body turned into ashes and blended into the air. Your honor, when are we going to look for the next one? The little lowly bounced around and asked. His honor stared at the night sky and said faintly, the people in this world are too weak, let's just wait here. Yes. Your honor. The 7 of them shouted out in unison. That night, South Dry Zen sect was exterminated. However, a lot of people were killed in their dreams, and the methods used were extremely cruel. When the sun rose, Dry Zen sect looked brand new, just that, the sect lacked the aura of human, and the aura of death was present. Meanwhile, on the 2nd floor of Leisure Bar, Yihua said to Qingye who had just woken up, I want to take a bath. Yihua, Qingye called out sweetly, acting coquettishly. Yihua laughed lightly, I will let you off this morning. That's more like it. After finished speaking, Qingye leaned over and gave Yihua a kiss that would cause others to be envious of her. This made Yihua's scalp go numb. What do you want to eat? Qingye tidied up Yihua's hair and asked tenderly. I want to eat the Zilongbao from that restaurant in the west of the city. Yihua thought for a bit. I haven't eaten Zilongbao for a long time, I am already tired of eating jianbing. Qingye nodded her head, let's all eat Zilongbao today then. Remember to buy some kelp soup, and ask for more, that restaurant's boss is very stingy. Yihua instructed. Qingye laughed helplessly. The more she interacts with Yihua, the more she feels that Yihua is adorable. Chapter 259. Not long after Qingye walked out of the door, Donghuang Baizhi pushed open the door and entered. Donghuang Baizhi seemed to be very shy, as if she didn't know where to put her hands and feet. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and give me a kiss, don't you understand this? Yihua said. To even need me to teach you this kind of morning kiss, you really don't know how to behave. Ah, do I have to do this? Donghuang Baizhi asked with a red face. I don't think I have ever taken the initiative to kiss a man, right? I feel so nervous. Yihua coughed lightly, this is a family rule. Baizhi, you are new here, so you definitely don't understand. Donghuang Li could be seen rushing over and kissed onto her father's cheek. Daddy, good morning. Aren't you going to sleep a bit more? Yihua asked lightly. I'm not going to sleep, Ali will take care of Daddy. You are truly Daddy's good daughter. Yihua was very gratified. My daughter is so young, yet she is already so sensible. Yihua turned his head and looked towards Donghuang Baizhi who was blushing. What are you standing there foolishly for? Look at our daughter. Donghuang Baizhi bit onto her lips, then mimicked her daughter and kissed onto Yihua's cheek. Mommy, no, you have to kiss Daddy's mouth. Donghuang Li reminded. You are truly Daddy's good daughter. Donghuang Baizhi's face became even redder as she pinched onto her daughter's cheek. Ali, turn your head around, you are not allowed to look. Oh, Donghuang Li turned around, but she immediately turned her head around. Dong Huang Baiji took the initiative to kiss onto Yihua's soft lips. Yihua felt extremely good, and he even sucked onto Dong Huang Baiji's soft tongue. Dong Huangli covered her eyes and shouted, "Ah, Li's goosebumps are coming out." Dong Huang Baiji immediately stood up and punched onto Yihua's face. "How can you act like a daddy in front of your daughter?" That's all for today, wake up," Yihua said like a big boss. Dong Huang Baiji helped Yihua get up with a red face, and Dong Huangli even helped her father wear slippers. After Qingye finished washing up, Qingye came back with the packed breakfast and conveniently woke up Qing Yutong and Yizizi who were sleeping. The whole family sat together and enjoyed the delicious breakfast, and Qing Yutong and Yizizi were yawning endlessly, and they had the appearance of two babies who had not woken up yet. "Look at us, Li, then look at the two of you." Yihua couldn't help but speak out and lecture the two of them. As for Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji, they sat on the two sides and took care of Yihua. They were feeding Yihua and wiping Yihua's mouth. "Daddy, don't say that to Aunt Qing and big sister Yi, because Ali will become arrogant," Dong Huangli said while drinking the kelp soup. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji both laughed. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong and Yizizi took a glare at Dong Huangli, seemingly saying, "You little traitor, we won't bring you along to play with us anymore. Yizizi, school will be starting in a few days, you go and prepare," Yihua said faintly. Upon hearing that she was going to school, Yizizi felt a splitting headache. "Eldest cousin, can I not go?" "No." Yizizi immediately became impotent. She looked as if she was about to die. "When the time comes, I might as well suck in all the teachers in the school, and then it'll be a holiday." After talking about Yizizi's matter, Yihua began talking about something else. "Leisure bar has been closed for a while, even though it will still be open for business tonight. I reckon that the business won't be that good. Yutong, go on stage and sing a few lines." Pfft. Qing Yutong spurted out the soup that she was drinking. "Brother-in-law, my big sister is so rich, does she still need to use me to earn money?" Qing Yutong said with a sullen face. "My butt is already slapped, yet I still have to help brother-in-law earn money." Yihua took a glare at his sister-in-law. "I am a man. Why would I use your big sister's money? Didn't I have a good time using your big sister's money in the past?" Qing Yutong muttered. "What are you talking about?" Yihua's gaze turned cold. "Your butt is itching again, right? Do you need brother-in-law to help you treat it?" Qing Yutong immediately smiled. "It's nothing, Yutong will listen to brother-in-law's arrangements." Daddy, then what is Ali going to do?" "Ali, come and help Daddy wipe the table and mop the floor." Dong Huangli raised her small hand and answered. Only when he saw his daughter's adorable look, Yihua revealed out a trace of a smile. "Ali will watch cartoons in the morning, learn Daddy's techniques in the afternoon, and do whatever you want at night." Hearing such an arrangement, Dong Huang Baiji did not object to it. With a smile on her face, she looked at her daughter. This family is finally together. This taste of happiness is truly good. "That's true, Daddy is the best." Qingye asked curiously, "What about me, what am I going to do?" Yihua snorted. "Is there even a need to ask? The two of you are going to protect me 24/7, the kind that will never leave my side." The two beauties shook their heads with a smile and did not reject Yihua's offer. After all, their hearts were captured by this man. "Daddy, your words of love are making Li's hair stand on end." Dong Huangli touched onto her arm. "Brother-in-law's mouth is getting sweeter and sweeter." Qing Yutong immediately teased. Yizizi let out a sigh. Thinking about what happened last night, her eyes immediately shone, and she hurriedly contacted His Honor. "Your Honor, Zizi has an important matter to report." Hearing Yizizi's secret report, Yihua replied faintly, "Zizi, there is no room for discussion regarding the matter of going to school. Go to school obediently, and do not cause any trouble." "Your Honor, Zizi is not talking about this matter." "Then what is it?" Yizizi told Yihua about what happened last night. Yihua slightly wrinkled his brows. There is actually such a thing. Someone is impersonating Wei Chang. No, not impersonating, rather, it is very similar. This is a bit interesting. Seeing that Yihua wrinkled his brows, Qingye asked with concern, Yihua, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? I'm fine, I just feel like taking a bath. Right now, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi still did not know that Yihua's intention was to take advantage of them. Your Honor, how about handing this matter over to Zizi to investigate? Zizi help Your Honor get rid of them. Yihua pondered for a moment, no need, I want to see what he wants to do. You continue to go to school obediently, and without my order, you are not allowed to act on your own. Your Honor, be obedient. Yi Zizi could only resign to her fate. If I knew that this would happen, I would have sucked that knockoff's food yesterday night. Baizhi, push me to take a bath. Yihua said faintly. Donghuang Baizhi stood up, then with a red face, pushed Yihua into the bedroom. As for Qingye, she can rest today, and the two of them will take turns to take care of Yihua. Just like Qingye, Donghuang Baizhi carried Yihua into the bathtub, and her face looked as if it was about to drip blood. Baizhi, this isn't like you. When you just came to school, you even tried to make a move on me. Yihua began laying the foundation for himself again. It would be a waste if I don't go and write a novel. Donghuang Baizhi wiped Yihua's body, and when she saw that familiar thing, her face became even redder. I didn't do it on purpose. Chapter 260. Donghuang Baizhi said in a low voice, I was wrong, alright. Seeing that you have a good attitude, I'll forgive you. After pausing for a moment, Yihua pretended to sniff the air and his brows wrinkled. What's wrong? Donghuang Baizhi asked curiously. Baizhi, don't you smell something strange? No. Yihua said, give me your hand. Donghuang Baizhi stretched out her lotus-like jade-like arm towards Yihua, and Yihua immediately said, it stinks. Coincidentally, there's water here. Come and take a bath. Donghuang Baizhi wasn't a fool, she was the empress. How could she not know what Yihua was thinking about? And of course, she wouldn't expose Yihua. I'll help you wash, I'll wash myself. These two women must have discussed their relationship beforehand. They can't even take a bath together. Too petty. I have already let you all see my naked body, why can't you all let me have a look? Listen to me, come in and wash up. With a red face, Donghuang Baizhi said, when you recover, I'll accompany you to bathe. Madhaf *Ker, it seems like my injuries are going to heal in advance. Yihua's goal ended in failure, and soon after, he was carried onto the bed by Donghuang Baizhi. At this moment, Qingye slowly walked in. Baizhi, did Yihua say that your body is stinky? Yihua took a glare at Qingye. What are you doing, what are you doing? It has only been one day, and you are already rebelling? That's right, Qingye, how did you know? Could it be that Yihua, Qingye laughed, Baizhi, he is just trying to trick us into bathing together. Sometimes, I even suspect that he is pretending to be sick. I also have my suspicions. Donghuang Baizhi nodded her head as she attentively observed Yihua. *CK, it's only the second day and I'm already exposed. It wasn't good for a woman to be too smart. No, I, the Supreme Overlord, am also a vegetarian. For the sake of the two of you, I am about to die, and you still dare to say that I am pretending? Qingye, Baizhi, the two of you are great. Yihua said gravely, and that tone of his was filled with resentment towards life. Sure enough, right after Yihua said those words, the two goddesses hurriedly consoled him, coaxed him in all sorts of ways, and even kissed him as an apology. Only then did Yihua finally calm down. Although it wasn't like the night before, the current situation was more or less the same. It felt so good. Qingye seemed to have thought of a bad idea and said to Donghuang Baizhi who was at the side, Baizhi, do you still remember how Yihua bullied us in the past? Yi Hua, who was lying on the bed, immediately felt that something was wrong. This Qingye is starting to be mischievous again. And he spanked our butts, and my butts were even swollen by him. Thinking back to what happened that day, Dong Huangbaiji's hands immediately became itchy. Yi Hua immediately shouted out gravely, "What are you two trying to do? I risked my life to save you. Do you have the nerve to take revenge?" Dong Huangbaiji held onto Yi Hua's hand and said tenderly, "Yi Hua, I know what you are thinking, and I love you too. However, this doesn't stop me from loving you even more. What Baiji said is right, if we don't fight now, we won't have another chance in the future." Qingye felt that what Baiji said was reasonable. The two women hit it off immediately and flipped Yi Hua over. "Don't act recklessly. If you wait for me to recover, I will spank your buttocks till they become swollen." Yi Hua shouted out coldly. However, this was completely useless. Qingye leaned close to Yi Hua's ear and said sweetly, "Yi Hua, in any case, in the future, I will be spanked by you, so for now, let us enjoy ourselves first. Be obedient, don't scream, no one will come and save you." After finished speaking, Qingye even kissed Yi Hua. "You too. You too. Just you wait." Qingye and Dong Huangbaiji raised their hands. "Yi Hua, all of our love for you is contained in our palms, pa. Pa." Just from the sound, one could tell that the spanking was very heavy. Feeling the pain coming from his buttocks, Yi Hua wished that he could get up right now, place the two women on his lap, and ruthlessly spank them. "Yi Hua, why are you frowning? Does it hurt?" Dong Huangbaiji asked curiously. Yi Hua was startled. "What a smart woman, I nearly fell into your trap." "Hee, I don't feel anything." "If you have the ability, then spank me again. In the future, it will be the same even if I spank you too. For someone as quick-witted as me to want to dig a hole for me to jump into, you are thinking too much." The two goddesses could be seen raising and lowering their hands, and immediately, the sound of spanking rang out within the bedroom. Completely out of control. Completely out of control. Just as Yi Hua was feeling angry, Wei Cheng suddenly sent a message over. "Your Honor, I just received the latest news about Sun Fang. Don't talk about small matters, I am currently not in a good mood." Wei Cheng was very puzzled. Logically speaking, His Honor should be in a good mood right now. It's like this, Dry Zen sect was exterminated last night, and the culprit did not leave the sect. Instead, he occupied the sect and declared himself as the king. "So be it, this is a good thing," Yi Hua said faintly. "I wish that more Dry Zen sect would be exterminated. If it was that simple, subordinate wouldn't have reported it to you," Wei Cheng said gravely. When the two women saw that Yi Hua was frowning and not saying anything, they thought that Yi Hua was angry. Thus, they immediately stopped and patted Yi Hua's red buttocks. "That's right. And this is the kind where I take off my pants and spank them." Wei Cheng could be heard saying, "Those people took on all of our responsibilities. For example, the 3 northern powers that His Honor exterminated, and the 3 big shots that were killed by the Red and Green brothers. Those people took on all of our responsibilities, and they even let out a message saying that they welcome everyone to take revenge on us." Yi Hua's brows became even deeper as he thought. Yi Hua's brows became deeper. Yi Hua's expression caused Qingye and Dong Huangbaiji to feel a bit scared. "Yi Hua, we are sorry, we only wanted to make you happy." Dong Huangbaiji hurriedly apologized. Qingye pouted her little mouth and acted cute, saying, "I don't care what you do, please don't be angry." "It's useless, I am angry. I didn't expect that there would be such an effect." Although that was what Yi Hua said, he still asked, "Wei Cheng, are there any unusual movements in the north and south?" Because of today's matter, they stopped their actions. It seems like all of them are targeting this group of unknown powers. Dong Huangbaiji went into a slight daze. After receiving the jade slip that Yuan sent over, and looking at the information on the jade slip, Dong Huangbaiji's expression became very grave. This group of people really ruined all of my plans. This made me very unhappy. Go and scout out the situation first. Wait for my order, and be prepared to exterminate them at any moment. Yes. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Yi Hua began to teach the two lawless women a lesson. You two are truly too arrogant, even my buttocks are red from being slapped by you two. Do you two know your wrongs now? Yi Hua said gravely. Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji nodded their heads, looking like a little wife that had been wronged. Looking at their current state, Yi Hua couldn't bear to teach them a lesson. Baiji, what's wrong? Seeing that Dong Huang Baiji was acting strangely, Yi Hua asked. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji wouldn't hide anything from her man anymore. She said tenderly, just now, news came from Voidless Realm. Dry Zen sect in the south was exterminated, and not only did the culprit not leave, the culprit stayed behind. The culprit even admitted to a lot of atrocities, especially the three northern powers that disappeared. Chapter 261. Thinking about it, it's good for those people to admit to it. I can just push the blame to them. Wouldn't this be indirectly helping me? Hee, this is a bit interesting. Baiji, what are you all planning to do? Qing Ye asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head, these are all decided by the aristocratic families and families. If there is no other way, the three big powers will only take action. However, this is the matter of the south, and the pressure will be greater. Even if the people from the north are going to take action, they are going to take revenge. Dong Huang Baiji added. Qing Ye was a bit worried, to be able to exterminate an entire sect in a single night, I reckon that those people should be very powerful. And, at the very least, they have reached the level of aristocratic families. Dong Huang Baiji agreed. However, they were thinking too lightly. Those people had already surpassed the strength of big powers, and the time they took to exterminate an entire sect was less than 5 minutes. Don't talk while sitting, talk while lying down. Yi Hua said faintly. Although I can't talk at night, I should be able to lie down during the day, right? Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji shyly rolled their eyes at Yi Hua, then lightly lied down and leaned on Yi Hua's side. Half of my wish has finally been fulfilled. I still need to work harder. I heard that if a family wants to become an aristocratic family, they need your approval. Yi Hua asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji nodded her head, that's right. If a family wants to become an aristocratic family, they must first meet the requirement of possessing an ancient godly item. After that, after going through the examination of the aristocratic families, my voidless realm will evaluate the family's strength and financial strength. I didn't expect Baiji's authority to be so big. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Dong Huang Baiji's face turned red. No matter how much authority I have, I will still be bullied by you. Then, are there any families that are going to become aristocratic families recently? Yi Hua was trying to get information from his wife. Originally, Shao family was the one that was going to become an aristocratic family, but by family obtained an ancient godly item. Therefore, right now, Shao family and Bai family are fighting for a spot. Dong Huang Baiji didn't seem to take it to heart. After all, aristocratic families are merely families that possess ancient godly items, and there is nothing to fear. Compared to Voidless Realm, aristocratic families are still lacking a lot. Even if Voidless Realm's vitality is greatly damaged, aristocratic families still aren't comparable to them. Meanwhile, Dong Huang Baiji wanted to see which aristocratic families are going to take action. One shouldn't think that Dong Huang Baiji was a good empress. Her good side was only displayed in front of Yi Hua. What do you think of the two families? Yi Hua asked. Facing her husband's question, Dong Huang Baiji wouldn't hide anything from him, judging from the data, Bai family's advantage is slightly stronger. Bai Cixin can also be counted as a woman with great abilities, and adding on her husband, Wang Debao, who is the icing on the cake, Bai family also has quite a few financial groups attached to them. Thus, Bai Cixin can be counted as quite a big harvest. Does this family have to pay you money? Qingye asked curiously. Every year, the aristocratic families will have to pay tribute to the aristocratic families. Therefore, during the selection, income is also one of the factors. This time, Shao family's financial evaluation is lower than Bai family's, and a lot of rich and powerful people left Shao family and joined Bai family's camp. Donghuang Baiji mumbled while leaning on Yihua's shoulder. Qingye held onto her forehead and said, "Seems like I am not the richest woman, Qingye, right now, you can be considered as the most powerful woman, even I am not your opponent." What Donghuang Baiji said was indeed correct. Qingye's awakening was an earth-shattering change, and in terms of individual strength, Qingye had become very powerful. Yihua felt the same too. "Baiji, you have to teach Qingye in this aspect. Right now, Qingye only has brute force, but she doesn't know how to use it." I understand. Donghuang Baiji replied. Yihua is the real empress, and he started ordering the empress around. "Baiji, from what I see, Shao family is actually not bad, how about we let Shao family obtain the qualification this time?" Yihua said. Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then said tenderly, "I will listen to you, Aya, when this woman becomes obedient, I really can't stand it anymore." Baiji, you should still do things according to the rules, I was just saying. Yihua laughed lightly. For this Shao family, I still have to ask Wei Chang to remind them not to fight for the qualification and just give it to Bai family. Everything is under my control, this feeling is very good. Yihua and that Shao Yi had a conflict in the past. That Shao Yi didn't return the money after he lost, but in the end, he still returned the money. Qingye laughed tenderly. Thinking back to that time, it was rather exciting. Donghuang Baiji said helplessly, "Seems like I missed a lot of good shows." "From today onwards, you won't miss a single show," Yihua said warmly, causing Donghuang Baiji to smile happily. Daddy, Ali finished looking at Snow White. Donghuang Li could be seen jogging over, then taking off her shoes and jumping onto the bed, then hugged onto her father. Yihua laughed lightly, "Daddy, let's test Ali. What kind of story did this Snow White tell us?" Qingye laughed bitterly and shook her head. Yihua is starting to use that twisted logic again. Donghuang Li tilted her head and pondered for a moment, then said happily, "Ali knows, the princess doesn't like dwarves, she likes tall, rich, and handsome men." Ha! Yihua laughed heartily. Qingye hugged onto Donghuang Li and said tenderly, "Don't listen to your daddy." "But Ali doesn't like the 7 dwarves either." This time, Yihua laughed heartily, and even Donghuang Baiji laughed helplessly. Donghuang Li could be seen lying on her father's body and listening to her father's heartbeat, then said sweetly, "Ali doesn't like tall, rich, and handsome men either, Ali only likes daddy. As expected of my daughter, she is deeply favored by me." Donghuang Baiji was very jealous. "Why doesn't she like mommy?" "She is too biased." "Ali likes mommy too," Donghuang Li added another sentence. This caused Donghuang Baiji's heart to feel at ease. Qingye rubbed onto her belly. "In a few months' time, my child is going to be born, and I am a bit nervous right now." Far away, at Zijin City, Bai family. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao were currently tasting top-quality Thai guanyin. Suddenly, an envelope was sent over. Wang Debao stretched out his hand, pinched the envelope, then passed it to his wife with a smile on his face. Bai Cixin placed down the teacup in her hand, then opened the envelope and looked at the latest information. After finished reading, the paper in her hands started burning. "Wife, what's the situation?" Wang Debao asked curiously while looking at his wife's grave expression. Bai Cixin let out a breath, then said faintly, "Yesterday, Ying family and Voidless Realm started fighting." "Ah. You're saying that 2 of the 3 big powers started fighting?" Wang Debao cried out in surprise. "This is a big matter." Bai Cixin nodded her head. "How is the situation?" Wang Debao asked hurriedly. "Not sure. It wasn't easy for Bai Cixin to be able to obtain this kind of information. The losses that the two big powers suffered from the battle were definitely not small. I wonder if the aristocratic families in the north have taken any action. Chapter 262. Are these aristocratic families really not tempted? Right now, Voidless Realm's vitality is definitely greatly damaged, and if all of them were to attack Voidless Realm at the same time, Voidless Realm's strength would definitely be greatly damaged. Wang Debao said confusedly. This kind of opportunity is extremely rare. Debao, you're still underestimating the giants. 1,000-year foundation can't be messed around. The aristocratic families are also afraid. A skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. Aya, my dear wife is so smart. As he spoke, Wang Debao began to flatter her again. Bai Cixin chuckled. Perhaps the appearance of this unknown force is a good thing. Let's just wait and see. Honey, aren't you worried about the promotion to an aristocratic family? Debao, we will definitely enter the ranks of the aristocratic families. No matter what, we will suppress the Shao family. At this moment, Bai Cixin appeared to be very confident. The Shao family's strength had been greatly damaged, and the wealthy merchants had left. They had long since fallen short of the requirements of an aristocratic family. Hearing his wife say so, Wang Debao was completely relieved. He suddenly hugged Bai Cixin and said, we should celebrate in advance. How's the snail seizing kung fu going? Don't worry, my wife. I don't even need to use my hands now. I guarantee that my wife will be satisfied. That's more like it. The Bai family was celebrating in advance, but the Tang family wasn't as happy. Right now, Tang Wushuang was lying on the big bed. His eyes were lifeless, and beside him were all his wives. However, right now, Tang Wushuang could only look at them, and was unable to touch them in the slightest. Because, he had already been uprooted. This was not only a blow to Tang clan, it was also a blow to Tang Wushuang himself. The wives were even more worried. Now that they didn't even have a child, the man was already killed. What was the difference between this and killing them? Quan Anrong comforted him carefully. Wushuang, technology is so advanced now, we can also do test tube babies. Yes, Wushuang, don't be sad. Mu Jia also hurriedly comforted him. However, this kind of consolation didn't make Tang Wushuang feel any better. Instead, it made him even angrier, as if it was reminding him that he couldn't have sex with others. Shao Yi. Shao Yi. I'm going to kill you. Tang Wushuang, who was on the bed, suddenly went crazy, and his entire face became distorted. However, when Tang Wushuang moved, his wounds were affected, and the pain caused Tang Wushuang to roll his eyes. How could the wives restrain their husbands? There was nothing they could do. All of you can leave. Gue Qingren slowly walked in while wearing flip-flops. The girls nodded and quietly left the bedroom. Master. You must definitely take revenge for Disciple, it is all because of that Shao Yi that I became like this. Tang Wushuang lied on the bed, and his hands tightly grabbed onto the corner of Gue Qingren's clothes. Gue Qingren silently took out an Alps candy and put it in his mouth. It felt pretty good. Master has told you before, don't underestimate the enemy, especially the enemy with a good brain. You only have yourself to blame for this. Gue Qingren sat on the chair next to him and turned on his phone to read a novel. Tang Wushuang tightly clenched his fist, and after a long time, he said, Master, as long as you help me kill Shao Yi, I will do anything you want me to do. Only by taking revenge yourself will it feel good. I don't want to deal with a small character like Shao Yi. Teacher. Tang Wushuang bitterly begged. Master has a set of cultivation technique that is very suitable for you. With your current physique, cultivating it will yield twice the results with half the effort. Gue Qingren said faintly. Tang Wushuang's eyes flickered with hope, and without thinking too much, he said, I'll learn. This set of cultivation technique is very special. It is about the same as the sunflower treasured book. If you wish to cultivate this technique, you must first castrate yourself. Gue Qingren paused for a moment and continued, you have already fulfilled this prerequisite, but this cultivation technique is even more ferocious than the sunflower treasured book. Its name is erotic. Tang Wushuang was a little frightened, but when he thought of Xiao Yi, his brain couldn't think normally. Master, I'll cultivate it. Are you sure? Once you cultivate this cultivation technique, your physique and temperament will completely change. Your chest will become bigger, your vocal cords will become more delicate, and your personality will also be the same. You will become a real woman, and your womb will gradually form, and you will even be able to give birth to children. However, your strength will be a few times stronger than now. Even if Xiao Yi has the Xianyuan sword, he won't be a match for you. Become a woman. Struggle flashed past Tang Wushuang's eyes. Right now, I am neither a human nor a demon. So what if I become a woman? As long as I kill Xiao Yi and exterminate the entire Xiao clan, I will be comfortable. Master, I am sure. Good, as expected of my disciple, you are very courageous. However, don't you want to discuss this matter with the women first? There's no need to discuss. I can decide on my own. Not bad, now that you know your own decision, Master is gratified. Rest first today, Master will come and teach you tomorrow. Thank you, Master. Gue Qingren walked out of the room and arrived at a secret room. The inside was pitch black, and there was only a computer emitting a faint light. In front of the computer, there seemed to be a figure of a person. This person's legs were all chopped off, and his body was soaked in a medicinal vat, and it looked very terrifying. Gue Qingren walked over and took a look. No wonder he stopped updating, he actually bit his tongue to commit suicide. What a pity, looks like I have to find another author to be my gunner. This book is too good. Shao Residence. Today, Shao Residence was full of vitality. The servants of the residence were moving back and forth in Shao Residence, as if Shao Residence was holding a banquet. That's right, today was considered as a family banquet, and it was also to celebrate Shao clan's rebirth after the calamity. Xiao Yi's injuries had already healed, and even he himself felt that it was unimaginable. But no matter what, it was a good thing. Looking at his wives, Xiao Yi revealed a rare smile. If only Cindy was still here. But it doesn't matter, I will definitely have a way to revive her. Xiao Yi raised his wine cup and said with a smile, come, let's have a toast. The wives stood up with a gentle smile, and as Xiao Yi's son, Xiao Yun also raised his cup of fruit juice. Big brother Xiao, you have just recovered from a serious illness, drink less. Yu Qi raised her big belly and warned softly. Shu Nan smiled, little sister Yu Qi, don't worry, big brother Zhao's injuries have already healed. Under the happy atmosphere, everyone drank this cup of wine. Following that, everyone chatted about a relaxed topic, as if they had returned to the past. Xiao Yi himself also seemed relaxed. But Shu Nan was panicking. Shu Nan, what's wrong? Xiao Yi asked softly. Shu Nan said in a low voice, Big brother Xiao, I feel that things are not over yet. What's wrong? Xiao Yi's expression sank slightly as he asked softly. That black shadow healed you, I feel that he has a purpose. Shu Nan said in a deep voice. Xiao Yi nodded, he understood this point, but what purpose? Shu Nan continued, but I feel that big brother Xiao did not achieve his purpose this time. Just as Shu Nan finished speaking, a black whirlpool appeared in the hall. The women were startled and hurriedly dodged away from the black whirlpool. Yu Qi hurriedly protected Xiao Yun. Death Mage could be seen slowly walking out from the black whirlpool. This time, Death Mage did not bring Sun Fang along. After all, he came to inform Xiao Yun that his honor had given him new instructions. Chapter 263. Xiao Yi was still looking at Death Mage with vigilance. But today was different from the past. Back then, Xiao Yi was facing death and had no choice but to beg. But now that he was alive, as an immortal emperor, how could he casually kneel? Shu Nan, on the other hand, was much smarter. The lives of her family were in the hands of others. When it was time to bow down, she had to do so. Brother Xiao. Shu Nan tugged at her husband. Xiao Yi frowned. He was fighting with his dignity. Death Mage didn't say anything and just stood there, seemingly waiting for Xiao Yi to make his own decision. Deciding the life and death of an entire family. Because Yi Hua added an additional condition. His honor has given the order, if Xiao Yi doesn't respect his honor, then there is no need to inform his honor. Exterminate Xiao family. Xiao Yi didn't know that his actions were related to the lives of his wife and son. Dignity or life, which was more important? Xiao Yi had to make a decision. Brother Xiao. Shu Nan called out again. A woman's sixth sense told her that if her man was disrespectful, the consequences would be unimaginable. After a long time, Xiao Yi sighed and lowered his noble head. The immortal emperor who had been reborn slowly knelt in front of Death Mage. Seeing this, Shu Nan let out a sigh of relief, then immediately knelt down as well. The wives behind him did not know what was going on, but they were not stupid and also knelt down. Even his youngest son, Xiao Yun, also knelt down out of curiosity. Death Mage was a bit disappointed. However, thinking about it, it was normal. Under his honor's great radiance, everyone had no choice but to submit to him. He took out his phone and started typing. The Xiao clan waited quietly. His phone rang with a voice message. Xiao Yi. Master has ordered all of you to give up the aristocratic family election and wait for the next order. Yes, Xiao Yi said with difficulty. To think that there would be a day where yours truly would have to kneel in front of someone else. What a great irony. Ding dong. Death Mage's WeChat rang out. Everyone from the Xiao clan was shocked. Taking a look at his WeChat, Death Mage opened up his voice chat, and Sun Fang's scolding could be heard from the voice chat. You damned fellow, why aren't you back yet? Do you still want to accompany me to sleep? Everyone in the Xiao clan was silent. Death Mage immediately closed the door. When I return, I will properly teach this ugly woman a lesson. She has thrown away my face. Looking at the people from the Xiao family, Death Mage felt a bit awkward as he walked into the black whirlpool. After Death Mage left, Xiao Yi and the others let out a sigh of relief and slowly stood up. Brother Xiao, what is going on? Yu Qi asked hurriedly. The other women were also very confused. Xiao Yi sat down and drank while Shu Nan explained the situation to everyone. It turned out that in order to save the Xiao family, their man did not hesitate to exchange his life for it. The wives were moved to the point of being in a mess. Brother Xiao, it seems like that black shadow man is setting up a game of chess. Shu Nan was very worried. Now that the Xiao family was involved, they could not get away with it. Xiao Yi put down the glass and lightly said, I've thought it through. As long as I can keep you safe, I'll do anything. Xiao Yi had indeed thought it through. Only by hugging onto a powerful thigh would he have a chance to survive. In the bedroom on the second floor of the bar. While chatting with Donghuang Baiji, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji fell asleep. While nestling in Yi Hua's embrace, the corner of Qingye's mouth was brimming with a blissful smile. Qingye was definitely having a sweet dream. Right now, Yi Hua was very conflicted. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by, I really want to hug them. In that case, I'll just act stealthily, and I'll just touch them. The more Yi Hua thought about it, the more his heart itched. With these two wives, if I can't even touch them, I would rather die than live. Yi Hua lightly caressed their waists and touched their exquisite skin. So comfortable, so comfortable. Being a human is really comfortable, it's much more interesting than being a skeleton. However, caressing their waists was no longer enough to satisfy Yi Hua's appetite. His evil hands had already reached into the wives' clothes. This feeling, this smoothness, it's simply a pleasure to touch my palms. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's skin is of the highest quality, the more I touch it, the more comfortable it feels. The two wives seemed to have sensed it as they let out moans and opened their eyes at the same time. Yi Hua was so frightened that he hurriedly closed his eyes and pretended that nothing had happened. However, his evil hands were still inside the wives' clothes, kneading them. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's faces immediately became red. Their breasts were being assaulted. However, very quickly, the two women felt that something was amiss. Wasn't Yi Hua paralyzed? Why is his hands still able to move? Is he still doing bad things? Yi Hua, wake up. Qingye's face became red. This fellow is still grabbing onto my breasts. Donghuang Baiji tightly pressed onto Yi Hua's evil hands, and her heart was extremely itchy. Yi Hua knew that Donghuang Baiji was very sensitive. Ah! What's the matter? Yi Hua pretended to open his eyes, and his eyes were filled with doubt. Qingye pouted, look at what you are doing. Yi Hua asked doubtfully, what's the matter? I didn't do anything. Look at where you are putting your hands. Yi Hua looked over and even grabbed onto Donghuang Baiji's hands. Donghuang Baiji immediately let out a moan, and even Qingye was biting onto her lips. Wow, my hands can move, my god. This is so magical. Yi Hua cried out in surprise as he stretched out his hands and took a look. Looking at the two beautiful wives, Yi Hua was extremely touched. Thank you for healing my hands, I believe that I will be able to fully recover in no time. Seeing that Yi Hua's hands were able to move, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji cried tears of joy. They finally saw a trace of hope, and they even forgot that they were taken advantage of by Yi Hua just now. I feel that I can't exert any strength with my hands right now, and I am still in the recovery period. I still need you all to take care of me. Yi Hua said gravely. He was still thinking about the days where he didn't need to use his hands. Of course, the two girls would take good care of him, so they hurriedly nodded in agreement. Qingye, Baiji, from this matter, it can be seen that the two of you have to accompany me more. Perhaps, I will be able to recover faster. After finished speaking, Qingye prepared to take action again. The two women hurriedly pressed him down. Qingye said bashfully, Yi Hua, you can't do this. Qingye, thank you for using your bodies to heal me. We should work harder. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the bedroom. A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth as he sniffed his palm. So fragrant. Resting his head on the back of his head, Yi Hua was in a good mood as he contacted Wei Chang. How's the investigation going? Your Honor, I was just about to report this matter, but the result is a bit horrifying, Yi Hua laughed lightly. For Wei Chang to say that Yi Hua was horrified, it must definitely be extremely horrifying. Tell me, how scary was it? Those people are exactly the same as us. Wei Chang said in surprise. When he first saw those people, he nearly jumped in fright, especially that skeleton that was wearing a mage robe. That skeleton is exactly the same as his Honor's original body. Yi Hua was also a bit startled, exactly the same. Could it be that there is a second His Honor? Your Honor, there is indeed someone that looks exactly the same as you. Wei Chang said gravely. Chapter 264. How is their strength? Wei Chang replied respectfully, subordinate has not tried it, but based on my estimation, they should be weaker than Death Mage. You mean that Death Mage did not exterminate them? Yi Hua asked faintly. At first, Yi Hua was a bit interested, but when he heard that Death Mage was weaker than Death Mage, he immediately lost his interest. Reporting to Your Honor, it was under the situation of 1 versus 1. That's a bit interesting, it piqued my interest. Is there any movement from the southern powers? Yi Hua asked. According to Sun Fang, some of the southern powers are in a mess, and they are currently begging aristocratic families to help out. Yi Hua sneered, those people really don't have the guts. Other people are scared to this extent just by exterminating a sect. In the past, when we exterminate a city, the reinforcements would immediately arrive. Your Honor, those people exterminated Dry Zen sect in a single night. How would ordinary powers dare to help out? After all, they don't even have an ancient godly item. I understand, those aristocratic families are not their match. In the end, a big shot will definitely step out. Tell Sun Fang, Ying family, not to interfere, and let another big shot do it. Right now, both my wife's power and Ying family's power have suffered quite a bit of damage. Ji family naturally cannot let them off easily. I will let those people from the stronghold help me exterminate those people. This should be what humans call killing with a borrowed knife, right? Subordinate understands, I will arrange it right away. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Yi Hua went into deep thought. What was going on with the sudden appearance of a knockoff? Is it intentional, or is it a coincidence? In terms of strength, those people are only at the level of Death Mage. This is too strange. Furthermore, they occupy a mountain and wait for others to come and cause trouble. This is exactly the same as what I did back then. After exterminating a city, they would stay behind and wait for others to attack, then kill all of them. What a pleasant surprise. You guys better not get killed by the humans. If not, I will be very disappointed. Right now, the southern aristocratic family, Ding family, was currently holding a meeting regarding the extermination of their sect. All 5 aristocratic families from the south were present. Ding family's family head, Ding Yuan, was among them. Wu family's martial saint. Diao family's Diao Lang. He family's He Tian. Murong family's Murong Ji. The appearance of the 5 aristocratic families was unquestionable. They were all handsome uncles, and each of them had their own style. However, there was no nervousness on their faces. When it came to such matters, it was always the weak who were worried. Because one who possessed an ancient godly item would be able to easily exterminate a sect, and all of their clans possessed an ancient godly item, this matter could not be considered as a crisis, and it could only be considered as a small trouble. Diao Lang played with the matchbox in his hand and said lightly, Originally, we were going to discuss how to deal with the northern forces today, but a group of people suddenly appeared last night and admitted to what they did. That makes things easier. My Diao family will not shirk our duty. Diao Lang, I'm afraid that's not good. I have some history with that Hai Daisy, and he was killed by that group of people. Just leave this revenge to me. Murong Ji lightly knocked on the table, wanting to fight for this operation. Murong Ji, you and Hai Daisy have only met once, but Guang clan's Guang Tianlu is my distant relative. I must take revenge for this. He Tian bellowed, appearing very domineering. The martial saint chuckled and said slowly, distant relatives. He Tian, are you here to be funny? I even said that Sun Yi is my mistress. Enough. Ding Yuan snorted coldly. My son, Ding Yuanwu, has already been missing for several days, and he must have been killed. It is very possible that he was killed by them. My Ding family will take this revenge. Ding Yuan glared angrily. His most beloved son was killed, and his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. This revenge was absolutely irreconcilable. The martial saint stroked his temples and said lightly, Ding Yuan, who doesn't know what kind of person that son of yours is? Sooner or later, he will be killed and buried. That's right, this excuse of yours is too baseless. You can just randomly accuse others. Perhaps, that group of people did not even do it. Diao Lang said disdainfully. He took out a matchbox and lit it, watching it burn to ashes. Murong Ji paused for a moment, then stood up and said, Since everyone wants to be so greedy, then let's draw lots. This way, it will be fair to everyone. In actuality, the 4 of them nodded their heads. Getting rid of evil was also one of the merits. If they had the chance to run for the position of a big shot, it would be very useful. Diao Lang took out 5 matchboxes and drew them in different lengths. Go with the shortest one. The 4 of them did not say anything. Everyone's strength was about the same, and cheating was easily seen. Soon after, they drew lots one by one. Diao Lang let out a light sigh, then cupped his hands towards Ding Yuan and said, "Ding Yuan, the opportunity for revenge is here." The other three shook their heads and sighed. This good luck actually got taken away by Ding Yuan. This is truly disappointing. Ding Yuan clenched his fist and said faintly, "Tomorrow, I will hang the heads of those people at my Ding family's toilet." "Congratulations to you first then." He Tian congratulated with a mocking tone. The five of them slowly sat down, and the meeting seemed to not have ended yet. "I believe everyone should have heard about what happened yesterday." Diao Lang changed his frivolous expression and said solemnly. The martial saint said faintly, "Yesterday, Ying family fought against Voidless Realm. Although I don't know what the result was, the losses that both sides suffered were definitely not light. Among the three big shots, two of them got weakened. I wonder if that would cause those people to be dissatisfied and choose someone else." Murongji asked curiously. Ding Yuan said gravely, "It is said that the three big shots were chosen by the people, and of course, there is the possibility of them being kicked out. However, it has already been so long, who knows if there is still such a rule." The four of them silently nodded their heads. According to the legends, the three big shots were chosen by the people 1,000 years ago. Firstly, they were to keep each other in check, secondly, they were to maintain law and order, and thirdly, they were to suppress some arrogant people. However, the ancient godly items in the hands of the three big shots were given out by the people. That's right. They were given out by the people. It was just like elementary school students going to class, and the teacher would give them textbooks. However, this was something that happened 1,000 years ago, and it was unknown if it still counted. This time, when the two big shots started fighting, no one came out to stop them. However, Donghuang Baiji didn't know about these things. The main reason was because Donghuang Baiji's father passed away too suddenly, and there were some things that she didn't have the time to tell her daughter. Ying Jingshan knew about these things, but he didn't report it to the higher-ups, because even he himself wasn't sure if the ancient godly items still existed or not. It would be even better if the ancient godly items still existed. Then, there would only be one above me, and not two. The five of them remained silent for a long time. Everyone wanted to climb up, if not, why would they take on such troublesome matters? They wanted merits. After a short while, the other four took their leave. Ding Yuan began ordering Ding family to get ready for battle. In order to fight a beautiful battle, to fight a spectacular battle, and to spread out a good reputation, Ding Yuan mobilized everyone in his family. Even his 10 sons, 6 daughters, brothers, and so on were brought along. Only the old, weak, women, and children were left at home. Chapter 265. He believed that tomorrow would be a beautiful day. However, to Wei Chang, today was a terrifying day. I didn't come to Qingbar for a few days, and I can only see that all of the oil paintings that I have collected had all shattered into pieces and fell onto the ground. Those are the genuine works that I have collected. Madame Donghuang is too ferocious. If you are angry, then go and beat up his honor. Why did you use my paintings to vent your anger on me? Originally, I was still thinking of taking a few of my paintings to sell off to pay back my debt, but now... GG. However, to Yi Hua, every single day was a good day, especially with the Empress accompanying him to sleep. Tonight, Qingye and Qingye went to spend the night with Yi Hua, and it was the Empress's turn to serve Yi Hua. However, from afternoon onwards, the Empress's face had been starting to turn red, and when night came, her face became even more tender and beautiful. Yi Hua's heart started to itch when he saw that pair of watery beautiful eyes of hers. Each and every one of my women is more alluring than the other. Originally, Yi Hua had planned to touch all over the Empress's body tonight, but in the end, Li was squeezed in the middle, and this caused Yi Hua's plan to fail once again. However, towards his daughter, Yi Hua didn't have the slightest bit of temper. Donghuang Li was lying in the middle of her parents, and her face was filled with a big smile. Dong Huangli kissed her parents on the left and right side of her body, and Dong Huangli looked extremely happy. Compared to the past, the present life was like that of an immortal. He had his parents by his side, and he could even sleep on the same bed at night. He was so happy. Daddy, Mommy, quickly give birth to a younger brother for Ali. Dong Huangli, who was lying in the middle, said happily. Dong Huangbaiji was wearing a set of black silk pajamas today, and that faintly discernible appearance of hers made Yihua feel very uncomfortable. Especially that monarch aura that was emitted from between her brows, it made Yihua very mad. Dong Huangbaiji turned her body and placed her hand on her forehead, then asked curiously, "Why does Ali want to have a younger brother so much?" "Because right now, Ali is the youngest. After Aunt Qing gives birth to a baby, Ali will be the eldest. However, there are too few of us. Mommy, you have to hurry up and give birth to a baby as well. When the time comes, Ali will be the big sister, and Ali will have a group of little brothers." Dong Huangli didn't tell Dong Huangli what her main purpose was. "In actuality, I can bully little brothers. I am so happy." Hearing her daughter's explanation, Dong Huangbaiji smiled tenderly. A smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. "The number of my family members is gradually increasing. This is a good sign. Mama, hurry up and have a baby with Papa." The little fellow said pitifully, causing Dong Huangbaiji to feel extremely shy. "Your daddy only understands the process of giving birth." Seeing that her mommy's face was completely red and not speaking, Dong Huangli began begging her father again, "Daddy, Mommy, you are all not speaking anymore. Ali, the process of giving birth is not for children to watch." Dong Huangli wrinkled her brows, then abruptly stood up. "Then, Ali won't disturb Daddy and Mommy giving birth anymore. Ali and Aunt Qing are going to sleep now." After finished speaking, Dong Huangli put on her slippers and walked out of the house. From the looks of it, Dong Huangli really wants to be bullied by a little brother. "Ali!" Dong Huangbaiji shouted out tenderly. "My daughter is my shield, and now that my shield has run away, Yihua is still going to bully me to death. Baiji, come over." Yihua said faintly. Dong Huangbaiji's heartbeat quickened as if it was a small electric motor. Dong Huangbaiji said in a low voice, "No, hurry up and come over, or I'll tell Ali that you're not cooperating with me." Dong Huangbaiji was completely speechless. "To actually use your daughter to threaten me, you are truly shameless." Slowly getting closer, "That's more obedient." Yihua was very satisfied, and his evil hands hugged onto Dong Huangbaiji's waist. "Yihua," Dong Huangbaiji moaned. "My fire has been ignited by you. What an enchanting empress. Baiji, your figure is still so good." Yihua's hands had long slipped into his pajamas. Dong Huangbaiji was already unable to control herself. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. "Baiji, you are still so sensitive. Stop messing around," Dong Huangbaiji shouted out shyly. "This fellow only ignites the fire, and not extinguishes the fire." Dong Huangbaiji felt bitter in her heart. Yihua retracted his evil hands and lightly hugged onto Dong Huangbaiji's proud body. "Baiji, when I recover, let's give birth to a younger brother for Ali." Dong Huangbaiji let out a breath of relief. As long as you are happy." "Did you hear that? I have already subdued those two women, and after a few days, I will automatically recover." Wouldn't that be a bit too fast? It would be bad if they were to see through me. The feeling of sleeping while hugging the Empress is indeed different. If only Qingye is here as well, that would be perfect. The night gradually faded away, and the radiance of dawn arrived. In the sky above Dry Zen sect, there were 3,000 people gathered. On the flag, there was the word Ding written in flamboyant calligraphy. All of the Ding family's disciples were wearing armors and looking at Dry Zen sect below them. Right now, there was no difference between Dry Zen sect and how it was in the past. There was no bloodstain, no smoke, and there was only the indistinct aura of death floating in the sky, causing people to feel uncomfortable. Ding Yuan shouted out loudly, stabilize your mind. This group of people is indeed formidable, just this aura of death alone is enough to cause people to feel fear. It is no wonder that they were able to exterminate Dry Zen sect in a single night. Ding Yuan could be seen taking out a 5-colored bell from his body. This was Ding family's ancient godly item, soul-absorbing bell. Everyone in the sect, listen up. You have already been surrounded. If you are sensible, then put down your weapons and come out with your hands behind your head, I will let you have an intact corpse. Ding Yuan shouted towards Dry Zen sect. However, the sect was still as quiet as before, as if there was not a single person in the sect. Ding Yuan's eldest son took a step forward and said in a low voice, "Family head, we can attack forcefully." Ding Yuan remained silent for a moment, then ordered, "Ding Hui, bring 1,000 people to probe and attack." Yes. Ding Hui waved his hand, and thousands of people followed Ding Hui and descended into Dry Zen sect. Everyone was very careful, fearing that they might fall into a trap. However, there were no traps or ambushes. Upon seeing this, Ding Yuan ordered everyone to attack together. Instantly, the sounds of killing rang out in the valley, and the sounds were deafening. Logically speaking, such sounds of killing would definitely be accompanied by the sounds of weapons clashing. However, there were only sounds of killing, and there were no other sounds. The Ding family effortlessly conquered the Dry Zen sect. Sect head, we won. It was unknown who shouted out, but the entire Ding family started cheering and waving the large flag in their hands. A trace of a smile appeared on Ding Yuan's face. However, this is too easy, right? Does this Dry Zen sect not have anyone else? However, Ding Yuan still didn't know how many people had exterminated Dry Zen sect, and he still thought that it was a large army of 100 people. Hiss, the 2 large mahogany doors of the palace were slowly opened, and a man could be seen wearing a nightgown. His hair was fluffy, and there were even eye bags on his forehead. It's still early in the morning, why are you making so much noise? Are you not letting me sleep? Greed took out a gold-rimmed spectacle from the pocket of his nightgown, then wiped it and wore it. Everyone from Ding family looked towards Greed. Why is there only one person? Ding Yuan asked, "Your Excellency, who are you?" Chapter 266. As soon as he said that, everyone became vigilant and pointed their swords at Greed. You are the one who destroyed the sect. Ding Yuan shouted furiously as he raised the soul-sucking bell in his hand. The corner of Greed's mouth raised into a clever arc. He smiled and said, "Don't be so exaggerated. I just killed a few people for entertainment. How dare you? Don't be presumptuous." Ding Yuan immediately shook the soul-sucking bell in his hand. The 5-colored light drifted out along with the sound of the bell and attacked Greed with a strange sound. Ah Chio! Greed suddenly sneezed and said lightly, "This mountain is quite cold." Everyone looked on stupidly, the attack of an ancient godly item was actually blown away by a single sneeze. How was this possible? Greed stretched out his hand and grasped the soul-sucking bell in Ding Yuan's hand. This bell can be used to tease dogs, but it's still lacking when it comes to killing people. With a light grip, the Ding clan's ancient godly item exploded. The enormous energy produced overturned all the members of the Ding clan, and they were instantly thrown off their feet. Ding Yuan was already stupefied. The ancient godly item was actually crushed by the other party. Am I seeing things? How is this possible? Impossible. Silence, everyone. This is a smokescreen. Ding Yuan shouted loudly. As expected, the team quietened down. You madman. You want to scare off my Ding clan with a mere smokescreen? Hand over your life. Greed yawned and said with a smile, "You humans just like to deceive others. They haven't woken up yet. I'll deal with your group first. You can all end yourselves." After saying that, he turned around and entered the hall, preparing to go back to sleep. Kill yourself. These 4 words reverberated in everyone's ears, but there was no change in their expressions. Among the Ding clan disciples, one of them picked up a large saber and stabbed it toward himself. Not only did he not die from the first strike, he even pulled out the saber and stabbed a second time. Everyone, don't panic. This is just a smokescreen. Ding Yuan shook his head and shouted. His eldest son pulled out his sword and slashed it across his neck. Blood splattered everywhere. Ding Yuan's face was covered with his son's blood. This is a smokescreen. Everyone, stay calm. I stabbed myself. It feels so good. Why can't I stab myself to death? Let's do it a few more times. Just like that, Ding Yuan watched as everyone committed suicide. His 10 sons all fell to the ground, and in less than 10 minutes' time, all of the Ding clan's descendants had fallen into a pool of blood. There was a thick smell of blood in the air. The pungent smell made people want to vomit, but there was no pain on everyone's face. Instead, there was a smile of relief. Smokescreen, smokescreen. Ding Yuan mumbled. He didn't dare to believe everything that was happening in front of him. Greed had only used the simplest hypnosis, but at Ding Yuan's level, low-level hypnosis was useless. Therefore, among the thousands of people present, he was the only one who didn't get hypnotized. Clang! Ding Yuan pulled out his sword and muttered, "It's all a smokescreen, it's all a smokescreen, it's all fake, Poochie." He stabbed himself in the heart with a backhand slash. The tall and big figure gradually fell onto the ground, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with the figures of his sons, and he was still mumbling, "Smokescreen, smokescreen, these are all smokescreen." In an instant, the Ding clan, one of the 5 great clans of the south, was completely annihilated. The enemy did see them, but they didn't even touch the corner of the enemy's clothes. The other 4 great clans should be rejoicing that they didn't draw the lottery of death. This was basically no different from sending themselves to death. Ding clan still wanted to come and snatch the merit, and in the end, even in death, they didn't believe what was happening in front of them. There were a few groups of people that were hiding in the dark and observing the situation. When they saw that all of Ding clan's people were mutilating themselves, they were so scared that their souls almost floated away. Only after a long while did they come back to their senses and hurriedly spread the news of Ding clan's people being annihilated. Even the aristocratic clans were unable to do anything. The big shots will definitely have to take action. Sure enough, when this news spread out, the entire cultivation world went crazy, and the cultivation world even sank into waves of panic. Ding clan that possessed an ancient godly item was annihilated just like that. Not a single person was left alive, and the enemy was only one person. My God, how did that person do it? He isn't a human at all, he is a demon. When the other 4 great clans received this news, all of them had a stupefied look on their faces. Soon after, they patted on their chest. It was fortunate that they didn't draw the lottery, if not, the one that died would be them. Following that, the remaining 4 great clans would once again hold a meeting, and it was definitely impossible for them to attend. After discussing, the result was that the big shots would be sent out. We aristocratic clans are not a match for them. Within the bedroom on the 2nd floor of Leisure Bar, Dong Huang Baiji's spotlessly white arms were placed onto Yihua's chest, and she was tightly nestled within Yihua's arms. To Dong Huang Baiji, it had been a very long time since she had slept so peacefully. An urgent jade slip was sent over, causing Dong Huang Baiji to open her hazy beautiful eyes. Seeing that Yihua still hadn't woken up, Dong Huang Baiji stealthily kissed him, then checked the jade slip that was sent over. Slowly, Dong Huang Baiji's expression sunk. Ding clan's people were just annihilated. The enemy was only one person. An entire family was annihilated by a single person. How is this possible? The strength of the families that were chosen are all very strong, especially those few family heads. With the assistance of an ancient godly item, how is it possible for the family to be annihilated? And it was so fast. Baiji, what's wrong? Yihua asked faintly. Just now, he had also received Wei Chang's message. Well done. But, That group of fools really doesn't know how to act. If my main body was there, I would have definitely put on a good act today, and it would have been very difficult for us to win. Everyone would have been heavily injured, and only then would those humans attack us together. And not like this, where a single person intimidated everyone, and Yihua dared to guarantee that even the big shots wouldn't dare to make a move. The knockoff is truly an idiot. However, thinking back to how I was in the past, I seem to be really like this. As expected, I was very stupid in the past. Yihua, just now, Ding Clan's people were annihilated, and the enemy only dispatched a single person. Dong Huang Baiji said gravely, and worry could be seen flashing past her beautiful eyes. Yihua pulled Dong Huang Baiji into his embrace and said faintly, "What does it have to do with you?" "Of course it has to do with me. The role of the three big shots is to maintain public order." Pinching onto the Empress's cheek, Yihua said gravely, "Baiji, your mission is to be a good wife and a good mother." "Yihua, be serious. Did you forget what you should do when you wake up in the morning?" Yihua reminded. Dong Huang Baiji rolled her eyes at Yihua, then gave him a sweet kiss. Comfortable. After taking liberties with the Empress, Yihua let go of her and said calmly, "This is the South's matter, and it doesn't belong to the North's matter." Dong Huang Baiji, who was blushing, said gravely, "What if that group of people were to come to the north? Could it be that you want to go there?" Yihua asked gravely. Dong Huang Baiji nodded her head, "If the South is helpless, I can only go there." "You are not allowed." Yihua shouted out coldly. "Why do you, the Empress, still have the ambition to maintain the world's peace? Aren't you going against me? Furthermore, with that little bit of ability of yours, you aren't even a match for that group of people." Dong Huang Baiji pouted her small mouth, then pulled onto her husband's hand and shook it. "Yihua, this is my job, you should support me." Chapter 267. Why not? Qinya could be seen bringing Dong Huangli into the bedroom. Dong Huangli immediately jumped onto the bed, then kissed onto her father's cheek. "Daddy, wake up." Soon after, Qinya walked over and gave Yihua a sweet kiss. This caused Yihua to feel extremely pleased. While Yihua was playing with Ali, Dong Huang Baiji told Qinya about what happened. Qinya, who had awakened her bloodline, had the consciousness to protect the safety of humans. When encountering this kind of situation, she was even more duty-bound. "Baiji, when the time comes, I will accompany you." Qinya smiled tenderly. "Qinya, thank you." Dong Huang Baiji was very grateful towards Qinya, and her impression of Dong Huang Baiji rose to another level. "What are you all going for? Who allowed you all to go?" Yihua shouted out gravely. "You all have only been obedient for a few days, and yet, you all are starting to jump around again. Can you intervene in such a matter? What does it have to do with you if other people are killing well?" Dong Huang Baiji pulled onto Qinya's hand, hinting Qinya to go and talk to Qinya. After all, in the eyes of the two women, what Yihua was doing was an expression of concern. Qinya said tenderly, "Yihua, don't worry, we will be able to settle it." "What are you talking about? Don't you know it's very dangerous? In any case, you are not allowed to go," Yihua said gravely. Right now, Qinya has become stronger, but she does not have any battle experience at all. Thus, even if she were to go to the battle arena, it would be a waste of her time. Dong Huangli also started speaking out. "What Daddy said is right, Mommy and Aunt Qing are both not allowed to go. Look, even Ali is more sensible than you." Dong Huang Baiji smiled helplessly. "Yihua, it's not like I'm saying that I'm going to head over there right now. I'll think about it after they take a step further." "That's more like it. Help me up. We're going out for breakfast today. There's a good wonton shop. Ali, wake Papa up." Ali is the most obedient. Yihua rubbed onto his daughter's head, then looked at the two women. "Do you think that the two of you are Ultraman, rushing to wherever there is danger?" Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji shook their heads helplessly. Her temper is still as bad as ever. only we are able to endure it. Two such women were pushing a man in a wheelchair out with a child. This combination once again blinded everyone's eyes. Right now, regardless of whether it was men or women, young or old, everyone was looking at Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, and no one was looking at Yihua anymore. In fact, the gazes that little Ali received were even more than Yihua. This caused Yihua to be speechless. In the future, I might as well just stay at home. After all, my limelight has already been snatched away by them. However, this is also giving me face. If I bring a woman like this out, I will definitely have face. What is there to look at? If you look any longer, kill them all. Your Honor. Your subordinate has something to report. Wei Chang's voice resounded in his mind. Those people are making a move. Wei Chang said gravely, Ying family, according to his Honor's orders, Ying family didn't come out this time, but Ji family also found an excuse to not come out. Hee, this Ji family is quite smart. They know that they aren't a match for me. Yi Hua sneered in his heart. This Ji family is much smarter than I thought. However, Ji family is still going to be exterminated. There is Ying family in the south, and there is Voidless Realm in the north. There was no point in keeping it. Your Honor, this Ji family doesn't act according to common sense. Should we make a move and give them a warning? Or exterminate them? Wei Chang asked curiously. Yi Hua pondered for a moment, then said faintly, let go of this Ji family first. Rather than us making a move against them, we might as well let them do it themselves. This kind of Ji family that retreats without putting up a fight will definitely incur hatred from others. Your subordinate understands Your Honor's meaning. Right now, I will have Sun Fang spread the news and ruin Ji family's reputation. That's right. Wei Chang asked once again, how are we going to deal with those counterfeits? Let's see what they are going to do next first. Yes. Right now, in Ji family's courtyard, more than 10 important members of Ji family were sitting inside and having a meeting. The meeting this time was regarding the extermination of Ji family. Ji family's family head was wearing a gorgeous robe, which gave off a unique aura. Ji family's family head was wearing a gorgeous robe, and his facial features were also very imposing. This person's name was Ji Zizhen. Sitting on the left and right side of the family head were his two younger brothers. The one on the left was tall and mighty, and his name was Ji, the second son of Ji family. The one on the right was the third son, and his name was Ji Teng. Just like Ji, he was also a tall and sturdy man. Only the eldest son, Ji Zizhen, had a handsome appearance, which was truly strange. As for the others, they were all elders of Ji family, and Ji Zizhen didn't put them in his eyes at all. After all of them were people who already have one foot in the coffin. Family head, the 4 big families are requesting for help. We cannot cower away from them, if not, we will become a laughingstock for others. One of the elders said. At a time like this, Ji family can only step forward. If not, why would the 4 big families submit to us? Ji laughed loudly, Elder, what you said is too serious. Us not stepping forward is the absolute truth. What second brother said is right now, Voidless Realm and Ying family's vitality is greatly damaged, and it is precisely the time for our Ji family to rise up. If our foundation is damaged because of this kind of thing, wouldn't we be losing a great opportunity? Ji Ting said in disdain. Suppressing the other 2 big families is the most important thing. The elder ignored the other elder's advice and said, Family head, the situation right now is different. Dry Zen sect was exterminated, and Ding family is following closely behind. Ying family also said that their vitality is greatly damaged, and it isn't suitable for them to move out. Right now, this task has fallen onto our shoulders. If family head doesn't step forward, it will be very hard for us to convince others. Ji laughed lightly, Elder, you are already old, and you are already afraid of everything. Why would my Ji family be afraid of those small fries? I don't think they dare to do anything. Ji Zizhen, who had been silent all this while, said faintly, I have already rejected them. There is no need to talk about this matter anymore, because there is no meaning to it. Family head. Elder, you should go back home and rest. The sun is very strong today, be careful not to get a heatstroke. Ji Zizhen said with concern. However, it was clear that he wanted to let go of this elder. The elder waved his hand. This Ji family is going to be defeated by these three brothers sooner or later. After remaining silent for a long time, the third brother Ji Teng gradually emitted out a murderous aura, Big Brother. It is rumored that someone should have come to stop the battle between Ying family and Voidless Realm, but that person didn't appear. It is possible that those people disappeared, so there is no need for us to act according to the rules. Third brother, wait a bit more, if no one appears within half a month, we will annex Ying family. In the south, we only need one big family. As for Voidless Realm in the north, after we exterminate Ying family, we will exterminate them. And unify the cultivation world. Ji Zizhen said very indifferently, as if this matter was within his reach. However, the murderous aura within Ji Zizhen's eyes was real. Everyone stood up, then cupped their hands and shouted out, unify the cultivation world. The corner of Ji Zizhen's mouth curved up into a trace of an arc. Right now, Yi Hua was currently leading his family of 4 to EFJ wontons. Boss! Give me another big bowl of wontons. Yi Hua shouted out faintly. This amount of wontons is too little, humans are just stingy. However, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were eating very elegantly, and just looking at them was a kind of enjoyment. Boss, Ali wants a big bowl of wontons too. Donghuang Li still hasn't learned how to eat elegantly, and she was eating exactly the same as her father. Alright. Chapter 268. Handsome, it's a small business. I'll help you add some points. The boss was also a straightforward person, mainly for the sake of the children, and of course, for the sake of the two beautiful women. Donghuang Baiji took out a tissue and helped her daughter wipe off the soup on the corner of her mouth. Ali, when a girl eats, she must chew her food carefully and swallow it slowly. But, if Ali wants to learn from mommy, she will need to eat for at least half an hour. Donghuang Li took a look and saw that both she and her daddy had already eaten a bowl of rice, and they have yet to even finish half of the bowl. Both of them were women who stood in the clouds. When they were out, they had to pay attention to their image. How could they mess around like they were at home? Yi Hua admired this point of hers. As my woman, not only is she able to get on the bed, she is also able to cook, and when I bring her out, she is also able to shine brightly in all directions. Ali is still young. When he grows up, he will naturally be embarrassed to eat like this. On the other hand, Yi Hua didn't mind at all. My daughter is naturally not a flower vase, and in the future, my daughter is going to follow me to kill enemies. If she were to act coy while eating a meal, how would she look? Coming, be careful, it's hot. The boss walked over with 2 bowls of big dumplings. Now that he could move his hands, he couldn't enjoy their considerate service. Although he was a little disappointed, at least he could touch them, and that was quite satisfying. Donghuang Baiji once again received the jade letter from Voidless Realm and let out a light sigh. What happened? Qingye asked concernedly. The Ying family is recuperating in the name of not participating in the battle. This is understandable, but this Ji family is actually avoiding the battle. This is too much. Donghuang Baiji was incomparably furious. As a big shot of the south, such a big matter had actually happened, and they actually did not pay any attention to it. This is simply too infuriating. Yi Hua did not make a sound. Seems like Wei Chang and the others have done a pretty good job in gathering information. Right now, they are even slightly ahead of us. I'm afraid that Ji family has ulterior motives, right? Baiji, you need to be a bit more careful. Qingye was very concerned. Right now, everyone was a family, and it was necessary to be concerned for Baiji. Donghuang Baiji let out a heavy sigh, and I will be careful. Since the two of them have decided to wash their hands of this matter, you don't have to bother about this matter as well, lest you fall into their trap. Yi Hua instructed faintly. Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, Mommy, you have to listen to Daddy. Okay, Mama will listen to Papa. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly. She knew that they were forcing her to act. If she were to really act, she would be falling into their trap. Dong Huang Baiji was not a fool. Yi Hua felt much more at ease. As long as Dong Huang Baiji doesn't interfere, everything will still be under my control. Although my days are comfortable, I still need to have some entertainment activities. As the head of the family, Yi Hua said faintly, today, we will accompany Ali to have some fun. Shopping malls, amusement parks, we will go to all of them. Wow, that's great. Thank you, Papa. Dong Huangli immediately became excited, and she finished the rest of the wontons in a few bites. Dong Huangli couldn't wait to fly over and play with the wontons right now. Of course, the two women would not refuse such a thing. While playing with the children, wasn't it also a date? After all, Dong Huang Baiji had never gone out with Yi Hua before. The family of four first arrived at the biggest amusement park in Long-An City, Fanti. Along the way, the little fellow was extremely excited. When he reached the gate, he couldn't control himself anymore. He ran all over the place as if he had been injected with stimulants. Dong Huang Baiji had no choice but to carry her daughter in her embrace, while Qingye was responsible for pushing Yi Hua. This was also Yi Hua's first time coming to an amusement park. This human sure knows how to play. But, is that roller coaster really that exciting? The screams are so loud. Daddy, Mommy, Ali wants to sit on the roller coaster. Dong Huangli shouted while being carried by her mother. Dong Huang Baiji said tenderly, Ali is still not tall enough right now, others won't let Ali sit on the roller coaster. Ali wants to play, Daddy, you can talk to those uncles. Seeing that begging her mother was useless, Ali looked towards her father for help. Yi Hua smoked a cigarette and said with a light smile, Ali, there are some rules that you have to follow, do you understand? Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. I am angry now, and you all can't even coax me properly. Ali, look, there is ice cream for sale. Dong Huangli, who was about to throw a tantrum just a moment ago, immediately cheered, Mommy, I want to eat, alright, let's go and buy it together. Looking at Dong Huang Baiji, who was carrying his daughter to buy ice cream, Yi Hua held on to Qingye's small hand. What's wrong? Are you envious? Of course not. Qingye laughed. In a few months' time, you are going to become a mommy too, you have to prepare yourself. Yi Hua said warmly. Qingye laughed lightly, I have already prepared myself. If it is a mischievous little thing, you will be in for a treat. Ha, I like mischievous little things. In the future, you can follow me to conquer the world. Yi Hua laughed heartily. His heroism immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding people. However, very quickly, the attention of the surrounding people fell onto Qingye. What a beautiful woman. Qingye rolled her eyes at her husband. Don't lead my child astray, in the future, he will either be a scientist or a doctor. What kind of future is there for him to have? In the future, our family will stand at the peak of the universe and look down on the world. Stop smoking, you're acting cool after smoking syndrome is back. Qingye threw the cigarette that was in Yi Hua's mouth into the trash can. Daddy, Aunt Qing, here is your ice cream. Qingye pinched onto Dong Huangli's tender little face. Ali is so obedient. Receiving the praise of an adult, Dong Huangli became even happier. On the other hand, Yi Hua was paying attention to his wives who were eating ice cream. He was either licking the ice cream or sucking the ice cream into his mouth. If that's the case, it should be very pleasurable, right? You are Qingye. A voice could be heard, and Yi Hua turned his head around to take a look. It was a person who could barely be considered as a beauty. Looking at the person who suddenly appeared, Qingya wrinkled her brows and cried out in surprise, "You are Yunlan." "Qingya, it has been 10 years since we last met, and I almost couldn't recognize you. You are too beautiful." Yunlan exclaimed in admiration. At first, he didn't believe it, but now that he had confirmed it, he truly envied Qingya. Qingya also appeared to be very polite. "You're flattering me, you're still the same, there's not much of a change in you." The two of them were middle school classmates. At that time, Qing family was still developing in Long'an City, and only in recent years did Qing family move to Zijin City to develop. Qingya studied in Long'an City during her middle school and high school. "This is?" Yunlan looked towards Yihua and asked. Yunlan thought to herself, "This man's appearance is quite handsome, it's just that it's a pity. He is my husband, Yihua." Qingya appeared to be very gentle and didn't feel embarrassed at all. "Hello." Yunlan extended his hand and smiled. If it was according to Yihua's personality in the past, he definitely wouldn't have extended his hand out. But right now, Yihua was giving Qingya face. After extending his hand out and lightly shaking Qingya's hand, Yihua immediately retracted his hand back, as if there were germs on other people's hands. Yunlan felt that this man's attitude is really cold and detached. Qingya is truly pitiful. She is rich and has such a good appearance, yet, she actually likes this kind of arrogant and conceited man. Chapter 269. This is? Yunlan asked curiously. This woman is too long-winded. I really want to kick her away. My wife. Yihua said faintly. Ah. Yunlan was surprised that this man had 2 wives, but she soon got used to it. It wasn't like she hadn't seen it before. It was just that it was a pity that such 2 beauties were paired with this cold man in a wheelchair. In actuality, Donghuang Baiji's personality was very similar to Yihua's. If there was an outsider present, Donghuang Baiji's empress-like aura would be faintly discernible. Qingya, it's going to be noon soon, let's have a meal together. Qiu Yan is also here, let's have a good chat about the old days. Yunlan sorted out his feelings. This is someone else's family matter, it's best for me not to get involved in it. Qiu Yan is here too. Qingya said with a smile. I remember that when I was in junior high school, my relationship with Qiu Yan was pretty good. Just that, when I was in senior high school, Qiu Yan went to another city to study. That's right, she found a very formidable husband, this is too interesting. Yunlan began sharing this interesting story with Qingya. Qingya asked curiously, what about you? Me? That's all. That guy went to buy water for me. Qingya also wanted to reminisce about the old days with her old classmate, but she had to ask for Yihua's opinion first. Yihua, let's go and have a meal together. Originally, it was time for the family of 4 to play together, and Yihua actually didn't want other people to join in. However, when he saw that Qingya wanted to go, Yihua didn't oppose her. He didn't say anything and just nodded. Seeing Yihua's actions, Yunlan felt that this man is really awesome. If he were to smoke a stick of cigarette, he would definitely be able to act cool. Yihua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it. Yunlan was speechless. Yunlan, I've been looking for you for a long time. 2 men and a woman could be seen walking over from the side. In Yihua's eyes, the woman could be counted as an ordinary beauty. After all, he had been looking at Qingya and Donghuang Baiji every single day. Of course, these ordinary beauties were considered goddesses in the eyes of ordinary people. As for the other 2 men, he could just mindlessly ignore them. There was nothing to see. Qingya. One of the women cried out in surprise. She immediately ran over and pulled Qingya's delicate hand. Yihua's brows wrinkled. You even dare to touch my woman, are you tired of living? Qiu Yan, long time no see. Qingya smiled faintly. She was very happy in her heart. Just that, Yihua was very unhappy. Later on, I'm going to properly teach Qingya a lesson. Other than me and the child, I'm not allowed to touch anyone else. However, I have to talk to Donghuang Baiji right now. Baiji. What's wrong? Donghuang Baiji slightly bent her body and asked curiously. Yihua said unhappily, look at what mistake Qingya has committed. Her husband asked a question, and he seemed unhappy. Donghuang Baiji took a look at Qingya. She didn't seem to have done anything wrong, why did she get angry? Mommy, Ali knows. Donghuang Li raised her hand and shouted out. Ali, you are not allowed to tell Mommy. Yihua reminded. Donghuang Li sighed, Mommy, Ali can't help you anymore. What did Qingya do wrong? He really couldn't tell. Is it because Qingya was talking to her old classmate and neglected you? Donghuang Baiji felt that this was the case. If not, there was nothing for her to be angry about. Yihua shook his head, would I get angry because of this kind of thing? Something else. Mommy, Ali will definitely give you a hint, Aunt Qing's hand. Donghuang Li reminded her mother in a low voice. Donghuang Baiji was stupefied, it couldn't be because Qingya's hand was held by that girl, right? That's right, Baiji, other than me and the child, you are not allowed to touch anyone else, not even women. Donghuang Baiji giggled, immediately becoming incomparably beautiful. A lot of people looked at Donghuang Baiji. She is too beautiful. This Yihua is too stingy, he is not even allowed to touch women. Alright, I promise you. Donghuang Baiji said tenderly. She was very obedient. That's more like it. Look at Qingya, she has already held onto my hand for so long, yet she still isn't letting go. Yihua said gravely. Qin Song was Yun Lan's husband, and the other man was called Tang Han, Qiu Yan's husband. When the two men saw Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, the surprised expression on their faces was very on point. This was also very normal, if there was any man who didn't exclaim in surprise upon seeing this, that man would definitely be gay. Both sides introduced one by one. Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were still the same, they only nodded their heads and didn't say anything. On the other hand, Qingya and her two old classmates were talking and laughing. I, the Supreme Overlord, am very angry right now. Daddy, Ali won't make you angry in the future, Donghuang Li sat on her father's body and said quietly. Towards his daughter, Yihua was completely at ease. Donghuang Baiji was also relatively at ease. After all, her identity was still that of an empress, and she still had the aura that she should have. Qingya was very worried about Donghuang Baiji. In the future, I will have to slowly train Donghuang Baiji. The few came to the amusement park's restaurant and asked for a private room to eat together. Sitting at the dining table, Qingya and her old classmates were chatting happily, while the others were just listening to them. The atmosphere was actually very awkward. After chatting about the past, it was time to talk about the present. Qiu Yan could be heard pulling her man and began showing off. Qingya, my family's Tang Han is preparing to establish his own family this year, and I have already submitted all the evaluation results. If there are no accidents, my family will become Tang family next year, and when the time comes, I will be able to obtain a lot of resources. Tang Han smiled, appearing very calm. Qin Song, who was at the side, was the same as well. Yunlan also started to show off his manhood. My Song has also submitted an application. If he succeeds, he can also become the patriarch next year. Qin Song felt very awkward. When he was with these women, they would either flaunt their brands or flaunt their men. In any case, they would just compete. Qingya, your luck is really good, Qing family has already taken root in Zijin City. That's right, we are still just a small family in Long'an City. Qingya smiled and didn't say anything. Why did the conversation suddenly change? What's there to compare? Yunlan softly sighed and slowly said, actually, my man is quite pitiful. He was abandoned since he was young. Through his own hard work, he managed to climb up step by step to resist the evil forces in his family. It wasn't easy for him to have his current achievements. I'm really too lucky. Yeah, my Tang Han is the same. He was looked down upon by his family since he was young. After he came back from the army, a few of his brothers wanted to kill him. Luckily, my Tang Han is strong enough to get rid of all of them. That's why he's like this now. Qiu Yan also spoke with assurance. As she spoke, she even cried. She really felt sorry for her man. Yi Hua and Dong Huangli's expressions were a bit strange. Isn't this **King competition? I, the Supreme Overlord, am also very miserable. Qingya, tell me about it too. I, the Supreme Overlord, crawled out from the ground and killed everyone I saw. I lived in fear every single day, and I didn't dare to relax even a little bit. From then on, I started killing people, and all kinds of viciousness, and that's why I, the Supreme Overlord, am able to have my current achievements. Chapter 270. However, the two men were a little embarrassed. Their wives loved to show off. Qingya, do you have any acquaintances? Perhaps we can confirm it sooner. Yunlan asked curiously. Actually, even if he applied, he might be rejected. After all, it was very difficult to apply for a family. What he had just said was a boastful agreement. Dong Huangbaiji was only in charge of the aristocratic family's election. In the end, she only needed to take a look at the election and then sign her name. But for others, this signature was an earth-shattering change. Qingya said tenderly, I really don't know this person. Yi Hua let out a breath. Qingya, why are you being so low-key? You should have just said that I, the Supreme Overlord, am capable. With just a word from me, I can make them big shots to play with. Of course, with just a word from me, I can also exterminate their entire race. Yunlan and Qiu Yan didn't just simply reminisce about the past, they knew that Qingya's family was a bit powerful, and it was normal for Yunlan to want to help her husband. Yunlan and Qiu Yan let out a light sigh. Originally, we thought that Qingya would be of some help. It is said that it is not safe right now. Qingya, you must be a bit more careful. Although he was unable to help Qingya, Yunlan still reminded Qingya. Qingya was very puzzled. How did they know about these things? Logically speaking, this kind of thing should be confidential. What's wrong? Qingya asked. Qiu Yan paused for a moment and said in a deep voice, we heard that some people have come recently, causing those families to be on tenterhooks. Then why are you still trying to squeeze in? Can't you just live a good life? Qingya was also persuading Yi Hua. The waters in this circle were too deep, if one were to be even slightly careless, one would invite a fatal disaster upon oneself. That's right, Yi Hua is an expert. Yunlan smiled and said, isn't there a chance now? After all, once you enter this circle, there are a lot of resources that you can use. It's not that easy to be the patriarch. Yi Hua suddenly said. This caused everyone that was sitting at the table to slightly go into a daze, especially Qingya's classmates and those two men. Why? Yunlan asked curiously. Yi Hua said indifferently, among the family heads that I have seen before, those family heads all have groups of wives and concubines. Wang Debao, I'm innocent. Qin Song and Tang Han were startled. You already have 2 wives, and we also want 2. You actually dare to undermine us? How hateful. As expected, the 2 women frowned when they heard this. Just take that, what is it called? Qingya, tell me about it. Qingya rolled her eyes at Yi Hua. Her eyes were extremely charming, causing Yi Hua's heart to itch once again. Now that I think about it, that Tang Wushuang has 7 to 8 wives, and that Xiao Yi seems to have 5 to 6 wives as well. Yi Hua's tone seemed as if he was talking about a salted fish. Seeing that the expression on the two women's faces was a bit bad, Yihua said faintly, the head of a family still has to bear the risk, and it is possible that one day, your corpse might end up lying on the streets. The entertainment circle is very chaotic, it is most suitable for you to be an ordinary person. This was also because Yihua was giving Qingye face that he spoke out to persuade Qingye to not get involved in his plans in the future. If that were to happen, Qingye would really die without a complete corpse. What Yihua said is right. Don't look at how those family heads appear to be extremely glorious on the surface, in reality, they are always on tenterhooks all day long. Have you heard of Ding family? Qingye said gravely. This could be counted as a warning to her old classmate. The four shook their heads. They had never heard of the Ding clan. Have you heard of aristocratic families? The four of them shook their heads again. Qingye said faintly, aristocratic families are above aristocratic families, and Ding family is one of the 5 aristocratic families. Today, Ding family was exterminated. The four of them were immediately stupefied. Right now, we haven't even figured out which aristocratic families are, and an existence that is even more formidable than the aristocratic families just jumped out and got exterminated. If that is the case, wouldn't the ordinary aristocratic families be even more miserable? Don't leak out this matter, if not, it will bring about unnecessary trouble. Qingye warned once again. The four hurriedly nodded their heads. Exterminated. I don't even dare to think about it. Qingye, your husband, he? Yunlan asked gravely. Qingye let out a light sigh, there are even stronger existences above aristocratic families. Yihua was injured during the battle with them. The four of them looked at Yihua dumbfoundedly. I originally thought that aristocratic families are already very formidable, but it turns out that there are still people above aristocratic families. And this man who is sitting on a wheelchair was actually able to fight with them and not die. From this, it can be seen just how terrifying his strength is. Towards this kind of warning, we definitely have to listen to it. The four of them could be seen standing up and saying to Yihua, thank you for telling us all these, we will never forget it in our lives. Yihua laughed bitterly in his heart. In the past, I specialized in killing people, and now, I am even advising people. There is nothing bad about being an ordinary person. At the very least, with your current conditions, you will be able to sit back and relax. Don't think about anything else. Yihua said lightly. From this, it could be seen that the change in Yihua was quite big. Perhaps, this is the power of love. Of course, this change wasn't complete. Yihua still didn't have a good impression of humans, but it was still much better than before. Hearing what Yihua said, the four of them silently nodded their heads. As for how they are going to choose, that will be their own matter. However, in the end, humans will never be satisfied with their current situation. They will want to climb as high as they can, even if it means that their bodies will be smashed into pieces. Perhaps, a few years later, Yihua will look at their corpses and say these words. After the meal, the four of them left. Yihua continued to bring his wife and children to play in the amusement park. Qingye, come over. What's the matter? Do you want to pee? Hold it in, I will pee for you when we get back. Yihua, tell me what mistake you made today, quickly admit your mistake. Yihua reprimanded with a stern look on his face. Dong Huang Baiji carried on to Dong Huangli who was sleeping soundly and looked at Yihua with a smile on her face. I don't know why, but I just like seeing Yihua reprimand people, Yihua's appearance is just like a child. Qingye was confused and mumbled, I didn't do anything wrong today. My lord, which part of me is not happy with you? I will change, okay? As my wife, other than me and our children, no one else can touch you. Qingye recalled, wasn't it just a girl holding my hand for a bit? He was indeed the vinegar king of the cultivation world. Okay. I promise to obey my husband's request in the future. Yihua was very satisfied with this attitude of his. However, he still had to ask a few questions. Qingye, in the future, if I meet a female classmate, how should I greet her? Yihua asked gravely. Qingye was startled and said hurriedly, just smile. Wrong. I can't even go and see my female classmates. Yihua raised his hand and smacked onto Qingye's little butt. Fortunately, no one saw it. Qingye pouted her small mouth, looking very lovely and pitiful. What if I get angry in the future? Yihua asked again. Qingye pondered for a moment, then said hesitantly, I'm coaxing you. Yihua raised his hand and clapped, wrong. You shouldn't have made me angry in the first place. Donghuang Baizhi immediately noted down Yihua's question. If Yihua were to ask her about it in the future, she would be able to answer him. Qingye rubbed onto her but pitifully, Yihua, you are bullying me again, I'm not going to play with you anymore. After finished speaking, Qingye pulled Donghuang Baizhi and left. Seeing that his wives had left, Yihua thought to himself, I will teach them a lesson tonight and let them have a taste of my bone-melting soft palm. Yihua immediately spread open his hands and gathered a powerful force, then grabbed onto the tire and rolled forward. Chapter 271. In the dry Zen sect, all the corpses of the Ding family had disappeared, and the smooth limestone was untainted by even a speck of dust. No one would have thought that this place was once filled with rivers of blood. Inside the hall, His Honor, who was dressed in a gorgeous robe, was sitting on the throne above the stairs. His eerie bony fingers were pressed on the armrest, and his empty eye sockets seemed to be staring at his 7 subordinates. My patience has been worn out by foolish humans. His cold tone made the 7 subordinates tremble, and they immediately knelt down. This subordinate has failed in his duty. A trembling voice rang out in the empty hall. His Honor slowly stood up, since the humans don't dare to come, I shall exterminate them one by one. Yes. Greed, pick 3 targets first. His Honor said calmly. Upon hearing that someone had been killed, everyone from the 7 deadly sins became excited. Yes. Greedily, he took out a bunch of bamboo sticks with the names of various forces written on them. He placed them in the wooden box and shook them gently. Swoosh 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 sounds rang out in the main hall. The fate of all the forces was in the hands of this small bamboo stick. The first 3 sticks that fell out would definitely be the result of the annihilation of the entire clan. One of the small bamboo sticks gradually moved up, but it gave people the feeling that it didn't want to come out, but the other bamboo sticks wanted to squeeze it out. Clang! The bamboo lot fell to the ground. He picked it up and glanced at it greedily. Your Honor, the first target has appeared. Who? Southern Ji clan. Although they didn't know what kind of family it was, they didn't really care. It was fine as long as it was people. Greed continued to sway. Your Honor, the second target has appeared, the South Side's Traceless Pavilion. It continued to shake. Third target, Southern Cloud Martial School. Greed put away the bamboo stick. He still had to use it in the future. This kind of killing method was very exciting. His Honor said faintly, 1 per day, I want to enjoy the cries of the humans. Yes. This sentence meant that many people wouldn't die very quickly. The Dry Zen sect and the Ding family were considered lucky as they didn't suffer any pain. The 8 of them disappeared from the Dry Zen sect hall and headed for their first target, the Ji family. Right now, Yihua had brought his family back to Leisure Bar. The little fellow was already tired from playing and was currently sleeping in his mother's embrace. As for Qingye, she pushed Yihua and prepared to return to the bedroom. Wait a minute, what are Zizi and the others doing? Yihua suddenly said. What else can they be doing, playing games? Qingye smiled tenderly. Arriving at Qing Yutong's bedroom, the 2 of them were not sitting beside the computer, rather, they were lying on the bed while holding onto their phone, and were engrossed in playing something. Strange, these 2 people actually didn't want to eat chicken. What are you doing? Yihua asked. Brother-in-law, don't speak, I am stealing a dragon with Zizi. Qing Yutong said cautiously, as if her words might be heard by the enemy. With her brows tightly wrinkled, Yi Zizi pouted her mouth and said, "Big brother, Zizi has already knelt for so many times. What kind of game would cause Yi Zizi to lose?" Yi Hua expressed that he was very curious, and indicated to Qingye to move forward a bit to take a look. However, as soon as he saw the screen, he saw the word, failure. A childish voice sounded from the other side of the phone. "Are you too stupid? Others have already pushed their way into our house, and you're still playing Dalong." Yi Zizi was not willing to accept this outcome, and she crazily rolled around on the bed, while Qing Yutong was actually quarreling with a primary school student. Yi Hua snorted coldly, "Just a lousy game is enough to make the two of you so flustered. Qingye, help me with the next one." "Yi Hua, it's better not to play anymore and rest early," Qingye said attentively. Her tone was extremely gentle. Yi Hua took out his phone and said faintly, "Hurry up and go down. Although I can't bring you guys to the chicken dinner, can't this small mobile game help you guys to win?" Ha! Yi Zizi was already cheating, but she still couldn't take on 3 to 4 people ganging up on her. Yi Zizi was angered to the point that she wanted to suck them to death. Shameless humans only know how to use human wave tactics. "Yutong, what game is it called?" "It's Kings of Glory." "Brother-in-law, you better go and rest well, this game isn't simple." Yi Hua sneered, "I like games that aren't simple." After the game was over, Qingye accompanied Yi Hua and watched by his side, while Yi Hua formed a party with his sister-in-law, Yi Zizi. Yi Hua chose Di Renjie, who looked rather handsome. "Yutong, Zizi. Follow me." After entering the game, Yi Hua began giving out orders. Everything was within his grasp. The three walked to the middle lane, and Yi Hua said faintly, "Destroy the tower." "Qing Yutong, Yi Zizi, brother-in-law, let's go to the bottom lane, I beg of you, big brother, why are you even worse than an elementary school student?" Qingye laughed tenderly and gave a sweet kiss to Yi Hua, encouraging him. Looking at Qingye's kiss, "I won't scold you guys." Yi Hua obediently walked down from the middle lane. Buddhist temple is really not good. Yi Hua looked at the screen that had turned black. There are actually 5 burly men hiding in the bushes, and they actually gang-killed me. Brother-in-law, I beg of you not to send me off. Big brother, don't be reckless. Yi Hua, seems like you can't do it. Qingye laughed tenderly. I, the Supreme Overlord, am going to fight with you guys. Cunning humans. Di Renjie, who was level 1, walked to the bottom lane and immediately saw the 2 heroes in front of him. When have I, the Supreme Overlord, ever been afraid? Qing Yutong held onto her forehead. I got killed in the bottom lane. Yi Zizi shouted out, "Big brother, don't send me off, can you just hang up?" Seems like this is still a game of intelligence. I, the Supreme Overlord, should stabilize the situation first, then continue fighting. As expected, Yi Hua didn't send me off and calmly dealt the finishing blow. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Qing Yutong was in pain. What are you shouting for? Can't you guys see that I am still developing? You guys hold on first, wait until my equipment is ready, I will naturally win. 20 minutes passed, and Yi Hua's godly equipment finally came out. 4 of his teammates had already been killed, and facing the 5th brother, Di Renjie could only pick up the soap. Failure. Do I have a grudge against games? Death Mage and Sun Fang, who were far away from Ying family, were also playing. Sun Fang leaned onto the hard bone and said with a smile, "This Di Renjie is so silly, he was just farming money from start to finish." GGG Imperial Translation, that's right, he is even more of an elementary school student. If they were to know that the person in front of them was the Supreme Overlord, they would immediately choose to be actors. Yi Hua, I will go and rest first, don't get angry and harm your body. Qingye said sweetly, and before leaving, she didn't forget to give Yi Hua a long kiss. However, the current Yi Hua didn't have the mood to experience it. After Qingye left, Yi Hua stood up and said to Yi Zizi, "Lie down a bit." Yi Zizi pouted her small mouth. The big pit is still going to continue harming people. Lying on Yi Zizi's bed, Yi Hua said gravely, I know how to play now. Dong Huangli woke up very early and wanted to give her daddy a kiss, but in the end, her daddy wasn't in the bedroom. Where did daddy go? Yi Hua pushed open the door of Qing Yutong's bedroom and immediately saw her father. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.